Chapter 872. After the two hooligans were taught a lesson by Ling Qianxue, they didn't run far. Instead, they turned into a nearby alley and sat on a big rock to rest. The tall man took out some ointment and screamed as he wiped the bruises on his body. "We are really unlucky." While rubbing the wound on his chest with the ointment, the tall man grumbled, "I don't know what's wrong with us. We actually met a martial artist twice. I didn't expect that girl, who looked pretty and weak, to be so heavy-handed. Sigh. Let's not talk about it. Let's think about what to do when we go back." The squint-eyed skinny man sighed heavily. Suddenly, he thought of something and patted his thigh. As a result, he patted the wound and immediately cried out in pain. After a while, the squint-eyed skinny man said in a hissing voice, "I know. This year is my zodiac year. I have always forgotten to wear red underwear. This must be the reason why I am unlucky." "Damn you idiot. That's probably it." The tall man scolded. "Go back and buy a few hundred pairs of red underwear. Wear it from now until next year. I don't want to be unlucky with you." When the squint-eyed skinny man sighed, the tall man wanted to use the ointment to wipe the wound on his back. However, as soon as he stretched out his right hand, he felt a dull pain. So he had no choice but to say to the squint-eyed skinny man, "Help me apply the ointment. I can't reach it." TSK. I really didn't know that you guys actually have this kind of hobby. Hurry up and tell me, who is the one on top? Who is the one on the bottom? The squint-eyed skinny man was half naked. While he was applying the ointment on the tall man's back, he suddenly heard a sarcastic voice coming from behind. The two of them were shocked and turned their heads at the same time. They were shocked to find that Xiao Chun was standing not far from the entrance of the alley, looking at them with a mocking face. The two of them were so scared that they almost peed their pants. Without even putting on their clothes, they directly jumped off the rock and wanted to escape. Hey, what the hell are you two doing? Why did you run away when you saw me? What's the matter? You don't want to pay your debts? Do you want to go back on your word?" How could Xiao Chun let them escape so easily? With a big stride, he arrived behind them and grabbed both of their necks. One on each side, he lifted them up as if they were puppies. When Xiao Chun released his divine sense just now, he sensed that these two people were recuperating nearby. Therefore, he told Cheng Minjing that he needed to go to the toilet and quickly rushed over. These two fellows still owed money. Xiao Chun had been short of money recently. If he didn't get his debt back from them, he wouldn't be able to continue living. No, Hero, you've misunderstood. We saw that you've come, so we wanted to buy you a bottle of water. You must be thirsty, right?" The squint-eyed skinny man complained incessantly. He racked his brains to come up with a reason, while his eyes rolled around. He was thinking intensely about how he could escape successfully. "Oh, I'm not thirsty, don't say those useless things. What's the matter? You two are thinking about escaping, aren't you?" Xiao Chun saw through the squint-eyed skinny man's thoughts at a glance. He simply threw them to the corner, crossed his arms in front of his chest, and stared at them condescendingly. Anyway, this place was a secluded alley. Generally, no one would pass by. Even if they passed by and saw that he was getting rid of the tyrant, they probably wouldn't interfere. Hiss! The tall man was hit hard, and he felt as if his whole body was falling apart. He suddenly took a deep breath, and his expression was as sad as if his father had died. He lowered his head and said, "Hero, we didn't want to escape. But as you can see, we are seriously injured. We want to go to the hospital to see a doctor. Please be merciful and spare us." Continue to lie. Just now, I clearly saw that you two had finished applying the ointment, and your body still smelled like a bruise. Are you trying to scare me? Xiao Chun had a displeased look on his face. He lifted his leg and kicked the tall man. It just so happened to touch his wound, causing the guy to roll around in pain. Xiao Chun didn't have any sympathy for people who bullied the weak and feared the strong. Usually, they would be very unreasonable to those weak vendors who set up stalls. He guessed that even Lin Kuo's family had been charged protection fees by them. This kick of his was to help the Lin family vent their anger. This we didn't. The squint-eyed skinny man saw that Xiao Chun was so ruthless. He suddenly stuttered. He couldn't argue for a long time, and he didn't dare to say much. Otherwise, he would definitely be kicked again. "Oh, I know. After you used the bruise ointment, you felt that it didn't work. So you wanted to go to the hospital for treatment, right? Xiaochen asked with a faint smile. Yes, yes, yes. This thing has no effect at all. It must be a fake sold by a profiteer. It cost me dozens of yuan. The squint-eyed skinny man quickly grabbed this life-saving straw. He threw away the bottle in his hand and said angrily, "Oh, but I see that you guys are recovering well. Your waist isn't sore, your legs aren't hurting, and you can even throw the ointment." Xiaochen clenched his fists and cracked his knuckles. A cold smile flashed across the corner of his mouth as he said unhurriedly, "How about this? Since you want to go to the hospital, I'll beat you up again, so that you don't have to come here in vain and waste money." "Ah, no, hero. Don't hit us. We are really fine. Wow, this is really a miracle in the medical world. I think we don't need to go to the hospital anymore." The squint-eyed skinny man quickly endured the pain on his body and struggled to stand up. He gritted his teeth and shook his arm. He even took a few steps and tried to squeeze out a smile that was uglier than crying. "That's not right. Don't you see that kid's still rolling on the ground? I think you guys still have to go. Don't delay the treatment." Xiaochen pointed to the tall macho man and said calmly. He also took 2 steps forward and pretended to hit him. I've also recovered. This medicine is really magical. It seems that I have to buy a few more bottles in the future." The tall macho man saw that the situation was not good. He quickly turned over and stood up. He sighed with a bitter face. "Since you are all fine, then don't do radio gymnastics here. Hurry up and return the money. This hero can fry hundreds of youtiao in a minute. I don't have the time to watch you act here." Xiaochen shook his legs and shouted angrily. He seemed very impatient. "But we don't have any money on us now." The squint-eyed skinny man suddenly thought of a bad idea. He quickly said with a troubled face, Just now we actually had more than 6,000 yuan. We wanted to collect more money and give it to you as a gift. In the end, it was all snatched away by someone else. We wanted to reason with the other party, but not only did we not, we were beaten up. So unlucky." The squint-eyed skinny man had the idea of 2 tigers fighting. Since the guy in front of him was good at martial arts, and the chick who beat him looked quite powerful, if he could make the 2 of them fight, wouldn't he be able to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight? Wasn't there a saying that when 2 sides fought, the one who fished would benefit? Maybe he could even get a bargain in the end. "Oh, what do you mean? Who beat you up? Is there anyone who has the guts to rob me of my money?" Xiaochen pretended to be angry. He saw through the squint-eyed skinny man's plan at a glance, but he did not expose it. Instead, he pretended to fall into the trap. In fact, he had other plans in mind. "It's the husband and wife who sold pancakes and meat buns diagonally across from your stall. Not only did they beat us up, but they also asked me for 5,000 yuan. I wanted to give this money to you, so I insisted on not giving it. In the end, I was beaten up again. I had no choice." Sigh. The squint-eyed skinny man pretended to be pitiful inside. He secretly observed Xiaochen's expression to see how he would react. "Oh my God. Are you stupid? Do you think I don't know how to count? I was a prodigy back then, did you know that? You brought more than 6,000 and gave him 5,000. Minus 5,000 from 6,000. Shouldn't you still have more than 1,000? Hurry up and give me the money, don't dawdle." Xiaochen raised his hand and knocked on the squint-eyed skinny man's head. He was in so much pain that he covered his head and cried out in pain. He was seeing stars. "Hero, skinny man didn't lie to you. We wanted to give you 5,000 yuan to settle the matter. We didn't expect that when we took out the money, they would snatch it all away. We had no choice." The tall man probably guessed the squint-eyed skinny man's idea. Plus, this was the truth. So he said helplessly with a sad face, TSK, you 2 are useless. Hurry up and find them. Get the money back for this hero. Otherwise, don't even think about having a good time." Xiaochen stared at the 2 men in front of him, as if he was looking at a dead man. Hero, we don't dare. Besides, we can't beat them. Otherwise, the money wouldn't have been snatched away." The squint-eyed skinny man had finally recovered. When he heard that he was going to ask for money again, he was so scared that his legs went soft. Besides, They hoped that Xiao Chen would go to ask for money. How did it become them going to ask for it themselves? The squint-eyed skinny man didn't dare to agree no matter what. What are you afraid of? This hero will go with you to get the money. I don't believe that I can't get it back. Xiao Chen waved his hand and said boldly. Actually, he did this on purpose. He took advantage of the situation and went with these two punks. Xiao Chen actually wanted to see what this chick Xing was up to. Now that there was an opportunity, he obviously couldn't let it go. The squint-eyed skinny man and the tall man looked at each other. Both of them saw the fear in each other's eyes. Although their goal was achieved, they were still a little scared when they thought about how they had to follow. The squint-eyed skinny man hesitated for a moment and said carefully, "That, hero, your martial arts are unparalleled. Of course, you aren't afraid of them. But with our bodies, I'm afraid." Without waiting for the squint-eyed skinny man to finish, Xiao Chen waved his hand and interrupted him impatiently. "Don't talk nonsense. I'll give you two choices. Either you come with me to get the money, or you go to the hospital. Choose." Chapter 873. Alright. We'll go with the hero. The squinted skinny guy couldn't help but ridicule. You call this a choice? There was only one way to choose. Helpless, he could only grit his teeth and agree. Then he thought to himself, when the two of you start fighting, we'll quickly run away. The tall guy could only nod his head in agreement. Then, the two of them followed Xiao Chen to the stall across the street, thinking about how to escape later. Dear customers, what would you like to eat? Our shop has meat buns, pancakes, porridge, and all kinds of breakfast. They're all hot. You can eat here or take it away. The stall owner saw that the two hooligans had returned with an unfamiliar man behind them. His expression froze, and he stuttered a little. However, he remembered that his current boss, the husband and wife next to him, were both very powerful people. Just now they easily beat someone up. His confidence rose a little, and he greeted them. "It's none of your business. I'm here to find them." Xiao Chen ignored the enthusiastic stall owner and walked directly in front of Miss Xing. With a face like a playboy, he shook his legs and shouted, "I heard from my friends that you stole their money, right? Hurry up and hand over the money. I'll pretend that nothing happened. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Since he was here to collect a debt in name, Xiao Chen felt that he had to do it properly and justifiably. Therefore, he conveniently used the two hooligans beside him. Miss Xing originally thought that Xiao Chen had discovered her, and was a little nervous. However, after hearing what Xiao Chen said, she was furious. She glared at Xiao Chen and thought, "I'm here to protect you. Who would have thought that you would turn the tables on me and help these two hooligans to deal with me? How preposterous. Hubby, don't be rash. We don't need to bother with scum like him." Ling Qianxue saw that Miss Xing was about to explode and knew that something was wrong. She hurriedly gave her a look and spoke in a low voice to stop her. "Puffed. She's your husband?" Xiao Chen was stunned and almost spat out. When did little Xing get a wife? However, Xiao Chen felt that the girl's voice sounded a little familiar. He didn't care that she called him a scumbag. He carefully looked at her and realized that he didn't recognize her at all. Xiao Chen thought for a moment, and suddenly a figure flashed in his mind. Wasn't this Ling Qianxue's voice? How did she get together with that chick Xing? Could it be that the two of them were still lesbians? Oh right. Xiao Chen remembered that when Xing Biao came to the research institute to steal information, she had asked for Sakshima Kishio's help. Presumably, they had some sort of connection. Perhaps it was because of this that the two of them worked together to set up such a nondescript breakfast stall. After understanding the key points, Xiao Chen was speechless. He ran to the morning market to sell fried dough sticks, but that was because he was forced by life to make money. However, if these two girls in front of him just wanted to keep an eye on him, they would not hesitate to stand here from dawn to dusk like idiots. That would be too much of a prank. Ling Qianxue's shout caused Xing Biao to calm down. She carefully thought for a moment and realized that she really couldn't argue with Xiao Chen. If they fought, her strength would be exposed. What would she do if she was recognized? Thinking of this, Xing Biao felt a little helpless. She could only pretend to be tough and said, "So what if I'm her husband? If you have the ability, go and marry one too. You don't need to worry about that. I may lack other things, but I don't lack a wife. Xiao Chen looked at Ling Qianxue and said to Xing Biao like a ruffian, You sissy, are you trying to change the topic? What, you don't want to pay up? Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Xing Biao couldn't help but be shocked. Luckily it wasn't a ladyboy. Then her disguise should be able to fool this guy. Although she was a little unwilling, she still gritted her teeth and took out $1,000. Slapping it on the table, she said, Take it. Tell your friend to be more well-behaved in the future, and don't cause trouble for us. Otherwise, I'll beat her to death next time. Oh, if you like it, then beat her to death. Xiao Chen shrugged indifferently. He picked up the money on the table and counted it. He frowned and said, That's not right. Why is it so little? Are you messing with me? How am I messing with you? How is this money not right? Xing Biao finally got angry. She glared at Xiao Chen. Is this guy not done yet? You damn Xiao Chen. Don't think that just because you helped me once, you can take a mile after being given an inch. If it wasn't for the mission, I would definitely beat you up. Didn't I say it's more than 1,000? There's only 1,000 here. Where's the rest of the money? Xiao Chen took the money and patted it in his hand. With a face full of disbelief, he said, I used to be a top student. Don't try to trick me. You. All right, I'll give you another $500. Is that okay? Xing Biao suppressed her anger and took out another $500. She stared angrily at Xiao Chen. Her chest was heaving up and down. One look, and it was obvious that she was furious. Xing Biao really didn't expect Xiao Chen to be so shameless. She thought that those gangsters were already too much. In the end, Xiao Chen was even more unreasonable than them. He was even calculative about $500. If she knew this would happen, she would have taught him a lesson back then. Of course not. I already saw that there's so much money in your pocket. It must have been given to you by them just now. These two people owed me money first. Even if they want to pay me back, there should be a first-come, first-served basis, right? You have to give me all of that first. Xiao Chen pointed at Xing Biao's pocket and reached out for the money. He didn't expect his fingertips to be so close to Xing Biao that he accidentally touched something soft. You. Xing Biao's face instantly turned red. She shrank back a little. She wanted to scold Xiao Chen for being a pervert, but when the words reached her mouth, she suddenly realized that something was wrong. She quickly swallowed them back down. She could only stare at him fiercely. She wanted to skin him alive. This was already the second time. Was Xiao Chen doing it on purpose? Could it be that his identity had been exposed? Was that why he used such a despicable method to expose her identity? However, this time, Xing Biao wrongly accused Xiao Chen. Her fingers touched because she was so angry that her chest was heaving up and down, and Xiao Chen subconsciously retracted his hand. His fingers secretly rubbed against it. TSK, it felt pretty good. Are you done yet? Seeing Miss Xing's face turn red and speechless, Ling Qianxue hurriedly walked over. With a face full of disdain, she said, You're a man, yet you're fussing over a few $1,000s. Do you have any prospects? I think people like you are destined to sell breakfast for the rest of your life. At this time, Ling Qianxue's impression of Xiao Chen had already plummeted. In the past, she still had some respect for him. Now she hated him to the extreme. She didn't expect that after he fell, he would act like a ruffian. He only knew how to haggle over every ounce. Or did he look like the leader of a demon sect? He was simply a stray dog that would bite whoever he caught. I'm happy to sell breakfast for the rest of my life. What can you do about it? Xiao Chen retracted his hand and glared at Ling Qianxue. His face and neck were red as he shouted. What? You still want to fight? Fine. Bring it on. You. Humph. Ling Qianxue opened her mouth and was speechless. She felt helpless in her heart. She had never seen such a scene before. It was like a scholar meeting a soldier. She couldn't reason with him. Even if she really wanted to fight, she couldn't beat Xiao Chen. In her depression, she could only roll her eyes and angrily turn her head to the side. Fine. Here. I'll give it all to you. Is that okay? Little Miss Xing regained her senses. Seeing that Ling Qianxue had also lost, she really didn't want to be entangled with Xiao Chen any longer. She simply took out all the money that the squinted skinny man had given her and handed it to Xiao Chen. She waved her hand dispiritedly and said, Are you satisfied? Take the money and scram. Don't interfere with my business. Are you stupid? You beat my friend up like this. Shouldn't you pay some medical fees? Xiao Chun was a little surprised by little Miss Xing's forbearance. He planned to add fuel to the fire and loudly scolded. The squinted skinny man and the tall man behind him were about to cry. How touching! This hero actually remembered to ask for medical fees for us. What a warm-hearted and chivalrous person. Fine. You win. Little Miss Xing was so angry that her whole body trembled. She closed her eyes and directly took out the remaining $10,000 on her. Take it. Take it all. Xiao Chun took the money and casually stuffed it into his pocket. Then he frowned and pointed at the breakfast on the table. He unhurriedly said, Also, give me 10 portions of these meat buns, pancakes, and porridge for free. I spent so much time talking nonsense with you guys. I'm hungry. The squinted skinny man and the tall man really cried this time. Hero, didn't you say you would give us medical fees? Why did you put it in your pocket? Is there even a share for us? Little Miss Xing originally thought that this was the end of the matter. After hearing Xiao Chun's rambling, she almost went crazy. Are you a pig? Can you finish all this by yourself? Why are you asking so many questions? Even if I can't finish it, I can still feed it to the dogs. Xiao Chun casually picked up a steaming meat bun and stuffed it into his mouth. He also took 2 unsteamed buns and stuffed them into the mouths of the hooligans behind him. The 2 hooligans wanted to cry, but they didn't dare to spit them out. They could only bite the dough in their mouths with twisted expressions. Xiao Chun ate the meat bun while shaking his legs. Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and pack it up for me, he thought to himself. I don't believe that you can still endure such ruthless humiliation. Pack it up for him. Give everything to him. Little Miss Xing took 2 steps back and held her forehead. She felt a splitting headache and couldn't think normally. She could only wave her hand and ask the stall owner to pack up the pastries. She estimated that if she continued to tangle with Xiao Chun, she would very likely vomit blood. After taking the 2 big bags of pastries from the stall owner, Xiao Chun's face was full of satisfaction. Little Miss Xing and Ling Qianxue, on the other hand, felt exhausted. They didn't expect Xiao Chun to be so difficult to deal with. It was even more troublesome than fighting with cultivators of the same level. Chapter 874. Although the stall owner obediently packed the pastries, he was confused in his heart. Weren't these 2 bosses very powerful just now? Why did they admit defeat when someone else came? Also, they didn't make a move and just swallowed their anger. It looked like it was a taboo. The 2 punks were even more dumbfounded. They didn't understand what was going on. When they were beating them just now, they were so ruthless. But when they saw this youtiao seller, they became cowards. They were hoping that both sides would fight each other, and both sides would suffer. But the result was completely one-sided. Could it be that this youtiao seller was more powerful than the couple? Or could it be that he had something on them, so they could only listen to him? Yes, thinking about it, it made sense. Otherwise, they couldn't find any other reason. The squinted skinny guy rolled his eyes and had an idea. Looks like in the future, as long as I use the youtiao seller's name, I can extort money from this couple at any time. They can easily take out more than 10,000 yuan. Looks like they have a lot of money. Carrying the food, Xiao Chun couldn't think of anything else, so he turned around and walked back to his stall. As he turned around, Xiao Chun sneered. There was something wrong with these 2 girls, and it was a big problem. Teasing them like this, yet they could hold back and not explode. They must have some ulterior motive. Looks like I can extort money from them from time to time in the future. My living expenses will also be settled. Oh right, I can eat buns and youtiao for free. They really are the perfect example of providing help in times of need. Plus, these 2 girls don't fight back. If that's the case, then you 2 can bear it if you want. Maybe this Xing chick is preparing to learn to be a ninja from Ling Qianxue? There's a knife on top of the word endure. Let me sharpen it. Xiaoyi, what are you giggling about? Why did you go to the washroom for so long? Did you go to find Kerlin again? Seeing Xiao Chun come back with 2 big bags of food with a silly smile on his face, Cheng Minjing was a little angry. She put her hands on her waist and asked, You know we don't have money right now. Why did you buy so much food? Aren't you poor enough? Xiao Chun froze when he heard the name Lily. He subconsciously turned his head and looked around, but didn't see anyone else. He then realized that this was the nickname Cheng Minjing gave him. With a chuckle, Xiao Chun explained, "There are many people in the toilet, so we have to queue up. As for these noodles, they were given to me for free by the two silly girls. I didn't spend a single cent." Silly girl. Tell me clearly who gave it to me. Why didn't he give it to anyone else but you? Cheng Minjing frowned. But then she remembered that she was in charge of the income from the stall. Xiao Chun didn't have much money on him at all. It wasn't enough to buy so many things. Oh, it's from the stall across the street. Xiao Chun pointed at Xing's stall, and happened to see her glaring at him with a pair of fiery eyes. He made a V sign with his hand, and then explained what had happened. "Ah, then wouldn't our identities be exposed?" Cheng Minjing exclaimed, then frowned and muttered, "It feels weird to be stared at like this every day. Xiao Chun, why don't we set up our stall somewhere else?" Cheng Minjing was indeed a little worried. She didn't think that someone would find them so quickly, and they even set up a stall across the street. Although they didn't come looking for trouble, the feeling of being watched was still uncomfortable. And if it was so easy to find them, didn't that mean that Ma Baoqiao could also find them quickly? It's okay, they can stay there if they like. Not only will we have free breakfast in the future, but we can also scam them when we run out of money. That's pretty good. Xiao Chun waved his hand nonchalantly, then took out a big stack of money from his pocket and handed it to Cheng Minjing. He continued to fry the dough sticks. But what was different from the past was that although Cheng Minjing took the thick stack of money, she didn't feel happy because of it. She would still sneak a glance across from time to time with a complicated expression. There was an indescribable strange feeling in her heart. Although the two people didn't have any hostility, when she thought that someone was watching them not far away, Cheng Minjing still felt a little uncomfortable. But she couldn't think of a solution, so she could only quietly sell the dough sticks. After Lin went back, she was a little absent-minded for a few days. She didn't know why, but ever since she went to the newly opened Tang breakfast shop, she began to worry about Xiao Chun. She didn't know where he went and why he disappeared for so long. On the weekend, Lu Shuangshuang asked Lin to go shopping. It just so happened that Lin was also planning to buy some clothes for the season. Look at this dress. Do I look beautiful in it? Lu Shuangshuang was holding a blue dress from a stall. She kept comparing it in the mirror and asked with a smile. Although Grandma Lu's illness was cured, and there was no need to worry about medical expenses, Lu Shuangshuang didn't like to spend money extravagantly. She even considered Lin's feelings, and didn't even drive her Land Rover. Anyway, she felt that Xiao Chun liked her wearing the clothes from a stall. She didn't need to show it to others. "Oh, not bad. It looks good," Lin said casually, but her attention didn't seem to be on the clothes. Instead, she was thinking about something. What about this one? Compared to the blue one, which one is more suitable? Lu Shuangshuang picked up a yellow dress and compared it to her body. Not bad. Both look good," Lin said casually, but her eyes were staring into the distance. Her eyes were blank, and her hands were mechanically picking the clothes. "Is that so? But I like both of them very much. Which one should I buy?" Lu Shuangshuang mumbled to herself, noticing that Lin Kuer seemed to be preoccupied with something else. Lu Shuangshuang picked out another dress and pretended to be happy. She said to Lin, "Okay, then let's buy this one. What do you think, Kuer?" "Sure. If you like it, then buy it," Lin replied first. Then, she came back to her senses. She saw that Lu Shuangshuang was holding a man's dress in her hand. She couldn't help but wonder. "Shuangshuang, the dress in your hand looks like it's a man's dress? You just realized. What were you thinking just now? You were so preoccupied. You didn't even notice what clothes I was holding. Are you having some lovesickness?" Lu Shuangshuang frowned and asked. Just now, she deliberately used the men's dress to test Lin's reaction. In the end, Lin didn't realize it and didn't react in time. What are you talking about? I was just thinking about Xiao Chun. No, I don't know how to say it. Anyway, it's not what you think, Lin explained weakly. Her face was full of depression. She wanted to talk about her recent experience, but in the end, she blurted out Xiao Chen's name. Even she didn't know why. Haha, you're still saying it's not lovesickness. You keep mentioning Xiao Chen's name. I think you must want to see him, right? Lu Shuangshuang laughed. She used her elbow to gently nudge Kerlin. She blinked her eyes and teased mischievously. No, nothing. It's just that there's a new fried dough stick seller in the morning market. It's in the place where our house used to be. Moreover, it's all the equipment that Xiao Chen used to use. That's why I thought of him. Kerlin quickly explained. Really? Why don't I believe you? Lu Shuangshuang teased with a faint smile. Kerlin blushed. She gently punched Lu Shuangshuang. Then she suddenly thought of something. She asked thoughtfully, That's right, Shuangshuang. Didn't you ask Xiao Chen to help you buy a rice transplanter and a harvester last time? Do you know anything about him recently? Lu Shuangshuang was stunned. She quickly waved her hand to cover it up. I don't know. I haven't seen Xiao Chen for a long time. He's probably very busy. After all, he's the young master of a big family. Why would he have time to fool around with us? You're right. Kerlin didn't notice Lu Shuangshuang's abnormality. She looked a little disappointed. She wasn't in the mood to choose clothes anymore. She just casually strolled along the street. Lu Shuangshuang saw that Kerlin didn't ask further. She was instantly relieved. Kerlin didn't know about her relationship with Xiao Chen. She didn't plan to say it for the time being. She was afraid that if Kerlin knew about it, she might not be friends with her anymore. Those TV shows and movies were not rare. Originally, two very good friends, but in the end, because of the same man, they became jealous, and finally, the two of them became enemies. Even in reality, there were many such examples. It should be known that in the beginning, Xiao Chen was Kerlin's boyfriend. Although Kerlin didn't admit it, and Xiao Chen didn't mention it, Lu Shuangshuang could tell with her woman's intuition that there must be some problems between the two. Now that she saw Kerlin's sad look, Lu Shuangshuang was even more certain that she and Xiao Chen had an ambiguous relationship. Maybe they had already done it. In this case, Lu Shuangshuang didn't dare to lay her cards on the table with Kerlin in this situation. Although she felt a little uneasy, she really didn't know where Xiao Chen was. Even if she wanted to say it, she couldn't. Both of them had their own thoughts in mind. They chatted from time to time, and came to the morning market street. Before they knew it, they walked to Xiao Chen's stall. Coincidentally, Kerlin also felt a little hungry. She stopped and asked, Shuangshuang, are you hungry? Let's eat something. On the weekend, Xiao Chen opened his stall all day long, just like when Tang Tang was here. The morning market street was also open all day long, but it was already past breakfast time, so there weren't too many people. There were still many empty tables on the side. Okay, my legs are a little sore. Let's eat something simple. Lu Shuangshuang nodded. She rubbed her sore legs and sat down. Since she got a car, Lu Shuangshuang always chose to drive when she went to the Warrior Guild to sell things. On the one hand, she could put a lot of goods in the trunk, and on the other hand, she could save time on the road. But her physical strength was much lower than before, and she was tired after a short walk. Just when she sat down, Lu Shuangshuang suddenly stood up and stared at the stall. Chapter 875. She didn't know why, but she vaguely felt that the back of the Youtiao stall owner was a little familiar. It seemed to be Xiao Chen. Lu Shuangshuang's heart skipped a beat. She quickly ran over to take a look, but found that the stall owner was an unfamiliar face. Now she was a little puzzled. This person's figure and movements were quite similar to Xiao Chen's, but he looked older. His appearance was completely different from Xiao Chen's. Little girl, what do you want to eat? Xiao Chen noticed that someone was staring at him, so he looked up and couldn't help but be surprised. Why was Lu Shuangshuang here? Kerlin was also here. What was going on? However, Xiao Chen could only pretend that he didn't know her. He was on the run now. It wouldn't be good if he caused trouble for Lu Shuangshuang. I want 2 youtiao, 2 fried cakes and 2 bowls of tofu pudding. Lu Shuangshuang casually ordered some food, then turned around and walked back in disappointment. She found that not only did the youtiao stall owner look ordinary, but even his voice was very unpleasant. It was a world of difference from Xiao Chen. I say, Xiao Yi, I didn't think that you would be so popular with women with this appearance. Not only does Kerlin like you, but even the beautiful girl next to her also specially ran over and stared at you. I think you can be called a girl killer. Cheng Minjing snorted coldly. Cheng Minjing's intuition told her that Lu Shuangshuang seemed to have some relationship with Xiao Chen. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so curious, and specially ran over to take a look. If she wasn't Kerlin's friend, then so be it. Since she knew Kerlin, then it was very likely that she also knew Xiao Chen. What girl killer? I can't even kill my mistress now. Miss, you're thinking too much. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly and shook his head. He first took the food that Lu Shuangshuang ordered, then quickly returned, and continued to fry the youtiao. He was also afraid that Lu Shuangshuang would notice something. After all, she was closer to him, unlike Kerlin. I have told you several times, don't call me Missy, call me Yao Yao. Cheng Minjing complained very discontentedly. Xiao Chen was really something. How could he still call her Missy? In such a dangerous situation, couldn't they learn from their mistakes? All right, Miss Yao Yao, Xiao Chen teased with a smile. You're pissing me off. Cheng Minjing glared at Xiao Chen and was too lazy to argue with him anymore. Since you like to call me that, then do as you please. Let's see what you can do when someone sees through you. Lu Shuangshuang, who was eating the youtiao, glanced at Xiao Chen from the corner of her eyes. Seeing them flirting, she increasingly felt that this stall owner's figure was similar to Xiao Chen, but his face and voice were different. However, Lu Shuangshuang and Kerlin were different. She knew that Xiao Chen knew how to disguise himself. Didn't Xiao Chen appear with Xiao Chong and Yang Jiannan's faces before? So although his appearance was different, maybe it was also a disguise? Shuangshuang, Shuangshuang, the tofu pudding in your bowl is gone. Why are you still scratching? If you like it, ask the stall owner to give you another bowl. Looking at Lu Shuangshuang's confused expression, holding the spoon and continuously scooping the empty bowl into her mouth, Kerlin felt that it was a little funny. Lu Shuangshuang was called twice before she woke up. Seeing the empty bowl in front of her, her face instantly turned red. Seeing this, Kerlin was a little curious. What were you thinking about just now? You didn't even know when you finished eating. No, nothing. I just think that the tofu pudding and youtiao in this shop are quite delicious. So I want to pack one for my grandma to try when I go back. Lu Shuangshuang quickly shook her head, then suddenly had an idea. She thought of a reason, and said with some embarrassment. Yeah, I think that the owner's cooking is similar to Xiao Chen's. The youtiao that he fried is so delicious. Kerlin didn't suspect anything, and nodded in agreement. He you just mentioned Xiao Chen's name again. Lu Shuangshuang teased, feeling that she seemed to have turned the tables. Kerlin's face turned red, and she glared at Lu Shuangshuang. She stood up to pay the bill. I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm going to pay the bill. I'll go back with you later. I haven't seen Grandma for a long time, and I can take the opportunity to see her. Let me do it. Lu Shuangshuang pressed Kerlin on the seat, took out her wallet, and ran in front of Xiao Chen. She said, Boss, help me pack a tofu pudding and 2 youtiao. Oh yeah, give me 2 pieces of that fried cake too. Okay, wait a moment. Xiao Chen nodded and quickly packed up the food. Then, he casually said to Cheng Minjing, Yao Yao, help this little girl pay the bill. Oh, got it. When Cheng Minjing heard Xiao Chen call out the nickname Yao Yao, she was indescribably happy. It seemed that this guy didn't talk nonsense in front of outsiders. She said to Lu Shuangshuang with a pleasant expression, That's a total of 15 yuan. Lu Shuangshuang said, Oh. She took out the money. Just as Cheng Minjing was about to take it, Lu Shuangshuang turned around and directly stuffed the money into Xiao Chen's hand. Cheng Minjing still hadn't reacted. Her expression was a little dazed. Lu Shuangshuang picked up the packed food. She didn't forget to seriously look at Xiao Chen a few times. Only then did she leave with Kerlin. Xiao Chen was a little helpless. He was wondering if Lu Shuangshuang had seen through his disguise. The small action of stuffing money into Lu Shuangshuang's hand seemed to be a hint. It seemed that he had to be more careful in the future. Hey, why are you in a daze with that sneaky face of yours? Do you know her? What did she want to do just now? Cheng Minjing pulled Xiao Chen's sleeve and asked. Cheng Minjing was really puzzled. She had already stretched out her hand, but Lu Shuangshuang purposely handed the money to Xiao Chen. It was really strange to say that there was no problem. Yes, I do know her. When I went to the warrior guild to accept a mission, I bought a pair of binoculars from her. Later, I found out that she is Lin's friend. Her name is Lu Shuangshuang. Xiao Chen didn't deny it. After all, Lu Shuangshuang's behavior was too obvious. That was why it aroused Cheng Minjing's suspicion. It was useless even if he quibbled. It can't be that simple, right? I think that Lu Shuangshuang seems to have recognized you. Tell me, what's your relationship with her? Cheng Minjing asked maliciously. Why don't you guess? If you can guess correctly, I will reward you with a youtiao. Xiao Chen picked up the youtiao that had just been fried. I don't want it. Look at your sneaky face, it's definitely not a good relationship. Cheng Minjing snorted and turned her face away. Hee, that's great. I can save another youtiao. Xiao Chen didn't refute. In order to prevent Cheng Minjing from thinking too much, he lowered his head and concentrated on his work. Cheng Minjing wanted to ask a few more questions. However, it was almost noon, and there were more customers. She had no choice but to immerse herself in her work. Songning City, in a private room of a restaurant. A guy with a head full of red hair, wearing a bright red trench coat, a large gold chain around his neck, and a shiny gold watch on his wrist sat on the sofa in high spirits with a cigar in his mouth. Beside him were two expressionless young men in black suits. One of them had a calm expression, while the other was a little impatient. From time to time, he would use his fingers to tap on the table. It seemed like he was waiting for someone. Brother Red Hair, you're finally back. The door of the private room was suddenly pushed open. A figure walked in. If Xiao Chun or Miss Xing were here, they would definitely recognize the person. It was the squinted skinny guy that was beaten up by the two of them. However, the tall man wasn't here. He was alone. They were the underlings of Red Hair. Red Hair had just returned to Songning City and summoned the two of them. When the squinted skinny guy received the news, it was as if he had met his savior. He quickly ran over. The two of them were beaten up like dogs in the morning market. Naturally, they had to find their boss for help. Shouji, what took you so long? Where's little Gao? Don't you see me as your boss anymore? Red Hair was a little unhappy. Shouji was the squinted skinny guy's name. However, because it wasn't very auspicious, he was usually called Skinny. As for little Gao, he was the tall man. I'm innocent, Brother Red Hair. We don't have time to play. We're all in the hospital. I heard that Brother Red Hair came, so I rushed out of the hospital. The squinted skinny guy cried. Hospital? Then why are you the only one here? Is little Gao's injury very serious? Red Hair frowned. He did hear the squinted skinny guy talk about being beaten up on the phone. However, it wasn't clear in a few words. He thought he had already recovered. Sigh. Don't talk about it. His old injury hasn't healed yet, but he was beaten up by a little girl who set up a stall in the morning market. That's miserable. He's still recuperating in the hospital, but he should be discharged tomorrow. I'm slightly better than him, so I can come over to greet you. The squinted skinny guy sighed helplessly. F***ck. That little girl is that powerful? Red Hair slammed the table. He was confused and angry. What's going on? I've only been away for a few days. How did a bunch of powerful people suddenly appear on the morning market? Didn't that guy named Xiao Chen leave a long time ago? Oh, that little girl isn't that powerful. The powerful one is a guy who sells fried dough sticks. But that girl's punches and kicks are also very powerful. But the most powerful one is still the one who sells fried dough sticks. The squinted skinny guy wanted to explain, but he felt that it was getting more and more confusing. Stop. Tell me from the beginning. Red Hair was confused and immediately interrupted. Brother Red Hair, this is what happened. The squinted skinny guy took a deep breath and explained his recent experience in detail. What? What does the guy who sells fried dough sticks look like? Is his name Xiao Chen? After listening to the squinted skinny guy's story, Red Hair was shocked. He almost spat out the cigar in his mouth. He remembered that the squinted skinny guy had never seen Xiao Chen before, so he quickly described Xiao Chen's appearance. Red Hair couldn't help but be afraid. After all, he had suffered a lot in the hands of Xiao Chen. Many of his backers were no match for him. If he hadn't followed Siechen and got to know his current backer, Yakishima Kishio, he would probably have to return to the morning market to collect protection fees again. Therefore, whenever Red Hair heard the name of the person who sells fried dough sticks or Xiao Chun, he would involuntarily shiver. It was too scary. Chapter 876. I don't know his full name, but I think his nickname is something like Xiao Yi, and he doesn't look right, said the skinny guy after some thought. That's good, as long as it's not Xiao Chun. Red Hair let out a sigh of relief. He was no longer nervous and leaned back on the sofa. He pointed at the two men in black suits and introduced them. These two are ninja masters from Japan. They're very strong, equivalent to a stage 5 inner force martial artist. It'll be a piece of cake for them to deal with that girl and the Youtiao guy. Red Hair didn't know much about practitioners. He thought that stage 5 inner force was already very strong, which was why he was so confident and fearless. These two masters are martial artists. Nice to meet you, brother. Nice to meet you. The skinny guy looked at them with admiration. He was even worse than Red Hair. He didn't even know what a martial artist was. All he knew was that they were much stronger than ordinary people. Since there were martial artists helping him, he didn't have to be afraid anymore. The bun girl only knew a little martial arts. As for the Youtiao guy, he only had a bit more strength. How could he be compared to a martial artist? At the thought of this, the squinted skinny man was so excited that he even straightened his back. Not bad. How about this? I'll bring 2 masters with me tomorrow to help you get revenge. It's getting late now. Let's eat first, and then we'll go to the dreamland to have some fun later. We'll also find a few young models to welcome the 2 experts. The red-haired man waved his hand and said straightforwardly. Ever since he started following Yorishima Kishio, Red Hair had secretly earned quite a lot of money. Gradually, he felt that he had stepped into the upper class of the mafia society. The way he did things also began to move in the direction that he thought was classy. All right, I'll listen to Big Brother Red Hair. The squint-eyed skinny man nodded like he was pounding garlic. He was so happy that flowers were about to bloom. He thought to himself that he did not follow the wrong boss. The tall man did not come today. It was a big loss. After everyone drank and toasted to their heart's content, they drove to the dreamland of Wonderland and played until late at night before returning home. The next morning, Red Hair and Skinny swaggered to the morning market street. The skinny man originally wanted to find trouble with fried dough sticks first, but after a few steps, he felt that the girl was easier to deal with. He was going to use this easygoing person as a practice target. That's them. The squint-eyed skinny man came to Miss Xing's stall and sneered. Big Brother Red Hair, Little Gao and I were injured by this couple. They even robbed us of the tens of thousands of dollars that we've been collecting these days. The squinting skinny man was prepared to demand an exorbitant price. Since the couple would be beaten up by their boss, they had to hand it over no matter how much they demanded. All right, got it. Red Hair snapped his fingers and swaggered over. With a bang, he kicked the entire stall over. The pancakes and meat buns were scattered all over the floor. The pot of porridge on the side also splashed all over Xing Qianxue and Ling Qianxue. The stall owner who was working saw that the situation wasn't good and immediately ran away. These people were obviously here to cause trouble. There was no need for him to get involved. He didn't know if the couple could control them. If he got implicated and got beaten up, he would be in trouble. Red Hair's target today was Miss Xing Qianxue and her husband. Thus, the stall owner was too lazy to chase after them. He crossed his arms and leisurely stood in front of his stall. Are you crazy? Do you want to die? Miss Xing, who was caught off guard and was splashed all over, roared angrily. Watch your mouth. Our Big Brother Red Hair isn't someone you can mess with. The squint-eyed skinny man immediately stood up and shouted with his nose in the air. Miss Xing saw the squint-eyed skinny man and tall man standing behind Red Hair. Only then did she understand that they were here to cause trouble. She couldn't help but get angry. It's you 2 bastards again. If I knew earlier, I would have let my wife beat you to death. This has nothing to do with you. Scram. At this time, one of the ninjas behind Red Hair stood up and pushed Miss Xing away, causing her to stumble. The other one walked in front of Ling Qianxue and sized her up. With a smile that didn't reach his eyes, he said, "Hee hee, little girl, you're quite pretty. I heard that you're quite good at fighting. Today, I'm here to experience it for myself." "You." Ling Qianxue didn't react at first. When the two ninjas jumped out, she was instantly dumbfounded. There was no other reason than that these two ninjas were her subordinates. Their status in the Cherry Blossom group was much lower than hers. Everyone who saw her had to greet her respectfully. Now they even dared to tease her. Although Ling Qianxue was furious, she didn't dare to act rashly. If Xiaochen saw through her and ruined young Master Xing's plan, all her previous efforts would be wasted. Miss Xing was also fuming. She was already on the verge of exploding from the push. She couldn't be bothered to care about the consequences. She was prepared to beat them all to death. Even if she was discovered by Xiaochen, she could think of other ways to keep an eye on her. These flies in front of her, however, were driving her to the limit. "Hubby, don't be angry. Let me talk to them." Ling Qianxue saw that Miss Xing's mood wasn't right. She hurriedly gave her a look and stopped her. Although she didn't know Miss Xing's true strength, dealing with two Stage 5 inner force martial artists was definitely not a problem. However, these two martial artists were considered talents that the Cherry Blossom group had painstakingly cultivated. Although they were a little stupid, it was better to let them live. Seeing that Ling Qianxue was begging, Miss Xing could only snort and suppress the anger in her heart. She walked to the side and picked up a cloth to wipe the soup that splashed on her body. Seeing that Miss Xing had given her face, Ling Qianxue heaved a sigh of relief. She said to the two ninjas coldly, "There are too many people here. It's not convenient to fight. Follow me." Beauty, are you going to get a room with us? So proactive? Can't wait any longer?" One of the ninjas teased with an evil smile. Ling Qianxue was so angry that she wanted to give him a kick. However, she endured it and didn't say much. She turned around and walked towards the direction of her hotel with a sullen face. Seeing that there was a chance, Red Hair hurriedly followed. This girl's looks weren't bad. He thought that he might be able to have a go at her first. Thinking of this, his lower abdomen suddenly became restless, and he subconsciously licked his lips. Seeing this, the squinted skinny guy and the tall guy looked at each other and followed. They wanted to see what Ling Qianxue was going to do. If it was possible, they could at least drink some soup while their boss ate the meat, right? Arriving at the door of the room, Ling Qianxue pointed at the two ninjas and said coldly, "You two come in with me. Everyone else wait outside. Don't look for trouble." "Wait. I say, miss, I was the one who found them. How can they go in but I can't? Since you're going to be played by us, it doesn't matter if it's 3 or 4 batches. Isn't it the same?" Red Hair came over and said shamelessly, "If you're not afraid of death, then come in." Ling Qianxue didn't even look at Red Hair. She directly opened the door and walked in without turning her head. "You two wait outside. After we're done, I'll let you have a taste of this girl." Red Hair excitedly patted the shoulders of the skinny guy and the others. He shook his head and walked in with the two ninjas. He didn't forget to lock the door. After locking the door, Red Hair clenched his fist and turned around excitedly. Pa! Pa! Before he could completely turn around, he saw Ling Qianxue give the two ninjas a slap each. Red Hair was puzzled. Wasn't this girl a little too fierce? She still dared to hit people in such a situation? In the end, Ling Qianxue suddenly spoke. "Baka! You even dare to take liberties with me. Do you want to die?" Ling Qianxue angrily scolded. She used Japanese and returned to her original voice. The two ninjas were instantly stunned. Well, what was going on? One of them reacted first. He felt that the voice was a little familiar. It seemed to be Ling Qianxue's voice. At that moment, his face turned pale, and he immediately knelt down. The other ninja also felt that something was wrong. He suddenly remembered who the owner of the voice was. Suddenly, his legs softened, and he knelt down on the ground. He didn't dare to raise his head, and his whole body was trembling. "Did the two of you come to Songning City because of Master Yakujima's order? Or did you act on your own? Tell me honestly." Ling Qianxue didn't choose to forgive them because of their actions. She still had a pretty face and stared at the two ninjas kneeling on the ground. She asked in a cold tone, Master Qianxue, we were wrong. Red Hair is very familiar with us. That's why we stood up for him. I hope Master Qianxue can forgive us. Don't tell Master Yakujima about this. One of the older ninjas forced himself to calm down and reported respectfully, It's fine if you don't tell him, but you know the rules of the organization. Do you want to do it yourself, or do you want me to do it for you? Ling Qianshue's face was cold, and she asked condescendingly. There was no emotion in her voice. We will do it ourselves. The older ninja knew that today's matter couldn't be resolved peacefully. He gritted his teeth and took out a piece of white cloth from his arms and spread it on the ground. Then he pulled out the short sword with his right hand and placed his left hand flat on the cloth. He raised the sword and cut off his little finger cleanly. The other ninja hesitated for a moment and then followed suit with a bitter face. The whole process was so painful that his face was sweating profusely, but he didn't even dare to make a sound. Although the two of them felt very helpless, they didn't dare to complain. This was already the smallest punishment. If this matter was really spread to Yakujima Kikuo, they were afraid that it wouldn't be as simple as cutting off their fingers. Ling Qianxue snorted coldly and raised her eyes. Her cold eyes fell on Red Hair, who was stunned at the door and couldn't move. Master Qianxue, I also know I was wrong. Please let me go. I promise there won't be a next time. Red Hair felt like a bucket of ice water was poured from head to toe when Ling Qianxue looked at him. He suddenly knelt down and begged for mercy. Chapter 877. Although he had never seen Ling Qianxue before, he knew that there was such a person in the Sakura group. He just didn't expect to bump into her here. He was really unlucky. You guys have the nerve to stand up for this kind of trash? It's so embarrassing. After this is over, you guys can go apologize to Yakujima-sama yourselves. Ling Qianxue said expressionlessly as she looked away. Well, okay. The two ninjas could only nod helplessly. It seemed that cutting off the fingers could only appease Ling Qianshue's anger. As for how to deal with this matter, they had to wait for Yorishima Kikuo's decision. Your name is Red Hair, right? Ling Qianxue finally looked at Red Hair again and waved her hand impatiently. This is none of your business. I'll let you go for Yakujima-sama's sake. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving here alive. Hurry up and get lost. Yes. Red Hair wanted to stand up, but his legs turned to jelly, and he almost knelt down again. With great difficulty, he held his leg and stood up straight. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead, opened the door, and ran out while trembling. Red Hair was very depressed. He wondered if he was the bane of his existence. The backer that he had spent so much effort to invite was gone again. The two men who were waiting outside heard the door open and saw Red Hair walking out, sweating profusely. They thought that their boss was done, so they quickly greeted him and asked eagerly, Big brother, how was that girl's skill in bed? Isn't it our turn? Looking at the two who didn't know the truth, Red Hair opened his mouth, but he was too embarrassed to say that he had lost his backer again. He could only walk out and pretended to say, Go in my A**s. The two ninjas are still having sex with the girl. Let's go first. Come back later when they're done. Red Hair's heart was bleeding. He couldn't say such a shameful truth even if he died. Now, he could only think of a way to fool these two underlings. At most, he would find two more young models and reward them. Oh. The squinted skinny man believed him and nodded heavily. He gave a thumbs up and complimented. Those two martial artists are really powerful. They can even handle such a violent girl so easily. They are indeed masters. After leaving the hotel, the three of them did not know what to do and could only stand by the roadside in a daze. Big brother Red Fur, I remember now. That youtiao seller cheated us of a lot of money before. Moreover, he even broke my hand. How about we go and teach him a lesson? The tall man suddenly had an idea and suggested. Since he had already dealt with the pretty girl, he might as well take the opportunity to deal with the youtiao seller. Big brother was indeed big brother. Once he made a move, he solved everything. Of course. Let's go. Let's take a taxi. Red Hair immediately agreed. He was feeling depressed and had to find someone to vent his anger on. Once again returning to the morning market street, Redfur learned his lesson and didn't directly walk towards Xiao Chen's stall. Instead, he first stood in the distance and carefully observed for a while. After confirming that the couple selling youtiao didn't know each other, he aggressively rushed over. "Get lost! Get lost!" Redfur and the two delinquents behind him pushed and shoved to separate the queue. The people who were pushed wanted to curse, but when they saw that it was a famous local bully of the morning market street, they immediately lost their imposing manner. They suppressed their anger and dispersed to the side. Redfur arrived in front of Xiao Chen's stall and arrogantly pointed at him. "Hey, youtiao seller, I heard from my brother that you seem pretty arrogant. Not only did you injure them for no reason, but you also publicly robbed them of their money. You actually dare to rob them in broad daylight? Do you not want to stay in the morning market street anymore? Why is it you again? Why are you looking for me? I think you won't feel comfortable unless you get beaten up. Is your skin itching again?" Xiao Chen was making breakfast well and was disturbed for no reason. He was immediately displeased. When Redfur flipped over Xing Lass's stall, Xiao Chen already noticed it. However, he was too lazy to care. He couldn't do anything to Xing Lass anyway. He didn't expect that after disappearing for a while, this group of people actually came to find trouble with him. F***ck, your mouth is pretty stubborn. Redfur glared at him. He rubbed the red hair on his head and angrily said, "Let me tell you, hurry up and apologize to my brother. Then pay 80,000 to 80,000 yuan in medical fees, and we'll let this matter go. Otherwise, when my two subordinates come later, they can easily peel off a layer of your skin. Let me tell you, they are all martial arts experts at the 5th stage of inner strength. How about it, are you afraid now?" Now that the two ninja experts weren't by his side, Redfur could only choose to intimidate. After all, he knew that Xiao Chen had some brute strength. If he fought recklessly, he might be at a disadvantage. He could only borrow the power of a martial artist to make the other party afraid. "Oh, then let them come." Xiao Chen waved his hand, as if he was shooing away flies. He impatiently said, "Is there nothing else? If there's nothing else, then scram. Don't block the customers from buying things." F***ck your mother, I think you are. Io. Redfur wanted to use the same old trick and kicked the stall away. However, just as he lifted his leg, Xiao Chen directly grabbed his hair and dragged him to a nearby corner. The two punks originally had their hands on their hips and were full of vigor. In the blink of an eye, when they saw Redfur being grabbed, they instantly became numb. They stared at each other and didn't know what to do. There was no other way. Both of them couldn't beat Xiao Chen. If they failed to save Redfur and got beaten up again, they might not even have the money to pay for his medical fees. What Xiao Chen hated the most was when people talked about his parents. Redhead had touched his reverse scale, so Xiao Chen didn't say anything else. He directly grabbed Redhead and gave him a round of punches and kicks. Redhead's eyes rolled back into his head. However, Xiao Chen was still conscious and didn't use his energy. Otherwise, if he accidentally beat Redfur to death, it wouldn't be good for him to stay on the morning market anymore. "Ouch! You! How dare you hit me?" Redfur was very strong-willed at first. He kept cursing and threatening while covering his head to dodge. However, no matter how he dodged, he still suffered a few punches. His face was immediately swollen. "Have you heard of Hero White Fox? He's my boss. Of course I dare to hit you." As Xiao Chen spoke, his hands and feet didn't stop. His storm-like fists were still smashing at Redfur's body. Ha! Redfur was stunned. He stopped dodging. Did he hear wrongly? Did this guy just mention Hero White Fox? After coming back to his senses, Redfur nearly peed his pants. He was rather quick-witted. He immediately knelt down and begged for mercy. Don't hit me. Hero, spare me. I surrender." "Oh, you really surrender? You don't want me to pay for your medical fees?" Xiao Chen's fists were still waving in the air as he asked coldly. "I really surrender. No, there's no need to pay, Hero." Redfur's tears and mucus flew everywhere. He must have forgotten to look at the almanac when he went out today. He had just knelt down for one, and now he had to kneel down for another. "Then tell me, Where are the two warriors' underlings? What are they doing with the girl in the opposite stall? Don't even think about lying, or else I'll make you drink that pot of oil. Xiao Chun grabbed Redfur's hair and pointed at the pot of oil that was used to fry youtiao not far away. He saw that the boiling hot oil was bubbling nonstop. It was very horrifying. They went to the hotel. Redfur shivered. He knew that Xiao Chun's underlings were ruthless and would definitely do what he said. So, he didn't dare to hide anything and told them what happened at the hotel. However, he tried to speak as softly as possible so that his underlings wouldn't hear. All right, hand over all the money you have and get lost. Xiao Chun knew the situation and didn't want to argue with Redfur anymore. He thought to himself, that girl really is Ling Qianxue. I wasn't too sure before, but now I'm 100% sure. And I still have to pay. Isn't this still robbery? Redfur muttered weakly, but he still took out all his money. It was a thick stack that was estimated to be more than 20,000. Of course not. You bought a youtiao from me, so it's natural for you to pay me. Xiao Chun took the money and said with a smile, Youtiao? I didn't buy youtiao. Redfur subconsciously asked back, you'll have some soon. Xiao Chun threw a youtiao into the pot and fried it. He then scooped it up and stuffed it into Redfur's mouth. Ouch! Being caught off guard, Redfur's mouth was instantly scalded and blistered. He wailed and spat out the youtiao. He looked around in panic and scrambled to a nearby bucket that was used to wash the mop. He directly stuck his head into the bucket. The two hooligans were also dumbfounded. After they reacted, they quickly rushed over and wanted to help the red-haired man out of the bucket. However, the red-haired man refused to leave no matter what. The skinny man with squinted eyes was in a hurry. He informed the tall man and didn't care about anything else. He carried the red-haired man and the bucket to the hospital. Xiao Chun didn't care about them anymore. He was wondering what Xing Chick and Ling Qianshue's intentions were. It was really strange. They had been under surveillance for a few days, but there was no news. If they were to say that they were working for the horse centipede, right? It didn't seem like it. After all, it had been so long, and Ma Dezhao hadn't come looking for trouble. If they weren't Ma Dezhao's underlings, then why did they target him? Right now he was down and out. He didn't have money or power, so there was nothing for him to do. Could it be that they saw that he was handsome? So they thought of ways to marry him and become his wife. Shaking his head, Xiao Chun felt his head hurt. He couldn't think of a reason, so he decided not to think anymore. He turned around and continued to fry youtiao for the crowd that had gathered again. Lil, aren't you being too violent? That troublemaker, you can just beat him up. What if he dies when you shove the hot youtiao into his mouth? Cheng Minjing frowned. She was a little puzzled. Xiao Chun wasn't this violent before. Why did he become so extreme recently? Was it because he was on tenterhooks every day, so he wanted to vent his anger? Chapter 878. Oh, they came to buy youtiao, so I sold it. What's there to be violent about? Besides, I fed him myself. Xiao Chun didn't mind. He took out the money and waved it, then naturally handed it to Cheng Minjing. Sai, you should restrain yourself from now on. With our current situation, it's better to avoid trouble. It's better to be careful. Cheng Minjing took the money and sighed helplessly. She didn't want to say anything else since Xiao Chun wouldn't listen to her. After applying some ointment in the hospital and receiving 2 tetanus shots, the blisters in Red Hair's mouth finally subsided a lot. Although it was painful, at least it didn't spread. Fortunately, his 2 subordinates sent him to the hospital in time. Otherwise his mouth would have been rotting. Mother ***, I'm so unlucky today. Looks like I need to find a girl to go to the fire. Ouch. Just as he stepped out of the hospital's side door, the red-haired man cursed as he walked. In a moment of carelessness, he was bumped into by a middle-aged man who was walking towards him. Although the middle-aged man was in a hurry, he still stopped for a moment. A young man behind him quickly ran over and helped Red Hair up. When the middle-aged man saw that Red Hair had stabilized himself, he asked indifferently, "Sorry, I didn't hurt you, right?" Although he was apologizing, his tone wasn't apologetic at all. F***CK. Are you F***King blind? How could you bump into me on such a wide road? Why don't you King die? The road is so wide. Why don't you go and bump into a truck? Red Hair shook off the young man who was supporting him and pointed at the middle-aged man. Young man, don't be so sarcastic. I've already apologized to you. What else do you want? The middle-aged man frowned after being insulted, but he still spoke patiently. He still had something urgent to do, and didn't have time to talk nonsense with Red Hair. After saying that, he planned to walk past Red Hair and leave. Stop right there. You bumped into me, and I feel pain all over my body. I want to go to the hospital to get my injuries examined. If you don't pay me $300,000 to $500,000 in medical fees, don't even think of leaving here alive today. Red Hair shot forward like an arrow and blocked the middle-aged man as he yelled with a domineering expression. He saw that the other party was easy to talk to, so he came up with an idea on the spur of the moment. He wanted to scam some money to compensate for his previous losses. TSK, what nonsense are you spouting? Our sect master, our boss apologizing to you is already good enough, but you still dare to ask for money? I think you deserve a beating. Before the middle-aged man could say anything, several young men suddenly jumped out from behind him. One of them said sternly, what do you want to do? I was hit. Ah. Redhead didn't expect the other party to have so many people. Halfway through his threat, the young man who criticized him just now rushed forward and grabbed his collar. What do you want? Of course, I'm going to teach you a lesson. The young man sneered and raised his fist, ready to make a move. Don't move. You guys are too daring. I am White Fox Hero's underling. If you dare to touch me, White Fox Hero will definitely not let you off. At this critical moment, Redhead's mind flashed and he blurted out a lie. In his heart, he prayed that the title White Fox Hero would prevent him from suffering any more physical pain. Perhaps Redhead's prayer was answered, but the young man who grabbed Redhead was stunned for a moment. Then, he slowly lowered his fist, as if he wasn't going to make another move. Instead, he turned his head to look at the middle-aged man not far away, as if waiting for his command. What? You are White Fox's underling? The middle-aged man was obviously a little surprised. He stared at Redhead doubtfully, as if he was thinking about something. Hee, are you afraid? Seeing that the middle-aged man hesitated when he heard White Fox Hero, Redhead thought that he was afraid. He immediately straightened his back and said proudly, Don't dawdle. Hurry up and apologize to me. Give me some compensation for my mental damage, and I'll let this matter go. Redhead was feeling smug while he was scaring the man. He didn't expect the title White Fox to be so useful. He could easily fool others. It seemed like he could use this title to show off in the future. I can wear out iron shoes in fruitless searching, only to find it by chance without even looking for it. The middle-aged man suddenly smiled creepily. He shook his body and released a powerful demonic aura. He stared at Redhead coldly and said, Kid, as long as you tell me where White Fox is hiding, I'll spare your life for now. Otherwise, the middle-aged man seemed to stomp his feet casually, and a huge pit instantly appeared on the ground. Redhead was shocked, and he fell to his knees with a thud. This middle-aged man was the leader of the Kuei Mountain sect, Ma Wuziu. Ever since he came to Songning City, he had been asking around for Xiao Chen's whereabouts. He even heard from the warrior guild that Xiao Chen had used the title White Fox. Therefore, when he heard Redhead's words, he could not wait any longer. This hero, I was just making it up. I'm not White Fox's underling, I'm really not. It's just because I met someone who called himself White Fox's underling, so I used his name to fool you. Please believe me. Redhead was about to cry. He could feel a surge of warmth involuntarily gushing out from between his thighs. The group of young people around also smelled a fresh stench. They all frowned and glared at Redhead. They took a few steps away. This seemingly arrogant but actually cowardly hooligan was probably scared to the point of peeing his pants. Where's the person you're talking about? Seeing that Redhead did not look like he was lying, Ma Wuzi retracted his demonic aura and asked with a sullen face, I advise you to tell the truth. If I find out that you're fooling me, I'll make you wish you were dead. I mean what I say. Of course. That person is selling youtiao at the morning market street. However, it's a little late now. I'm not sure if you'll be able to meet him if you go there. Redhead had lost all his courage to resist. He quickly replied, and tried his best to put on a smile that was uglier than crying. At least you're sensible. Ma Wuxiu could feel that Redhead was telling the truth. He nodded and instructed a disciple behind him. Go to the morning market street, and keep an eye on that youtiao seller. Once he contacts Xiao Chun, inform me immediately. Yes, sir. The disciple cupped his fist and accepted the order. He then asked for Redhead's address, and ran directly towards the morning market street. As for Ma Wuxiu, he left Redhead, who had curled up into a ball, to attend to other matters. Although the youtiao seller was Xiao Chen's underling, Ma Wuxiu did not intend to do it himself. If he accidentally alerted the enemy, it would be more troublesome to find Xiao Chen. Besides, Xiao Chen had too many underlings. During this period of investigation, he found that there were several in Songning City alone. Zhuang Xiong Yu Xiaochuan, Lu Zhenming, and so on were Xiao Chen's underlings, including the Xie family in other cities. Expanding the scope, there were also the Wang family in Tianfang province, and the Shen family in Lan City. All of them had inexplicable connections with Xiao Chen. Ma Wuxiu was quite excited when he heard that Xiao Chen had so many underlings. He thought that as long as he kept an eye on a few of them, he would be able to find Xiao Chen himself. In the end, he arranged his manpower and waited for a few days. However, Xiao Chen seemed to have vanished from the face of the earth. He did not contact those people at all. In this situation, Ma Wuxiu could only be blinded. The only thing he could think of was to send someone to keep an eye on Xiao Chen's movements. After all, he still had a lot of things to do. Even if he was in the secular world, he had to take care of the development of the sect. Otherwise, he would be the sect master for nothing. Seeing that Ma Wuxiu and the others had finally left, Redhead was finally relieved. He sat on a puddle of yellow water, and did not move for a long time. After being in a daze for a long time, Redhead suddenly slapped his thigh as he remembered something. Since this hero was White Fox's enemy, he should have become his disciple just now. He was so powerful that it would not be a problem for him to be his backer. That way, he could also help him take revenge. He was so scared that he did not react. What a great loss. In the evening of the same day, when Xiao Chen was packing up his stall and on his way back, he felt that someone was following him from behind. Moreover, the tracking method was very clumsy. He thought it was the two girls, Xing and Ling Qianxue. However, when he secretly released his divine sense to check, he found that it was actually Lu Shuangshuang who was following him stealthily. Xiao Chen was a little surprised. Why was this girl following him for no reason? Could it be that she had confirmed that he was Xiao Chen in disguise? Thinking about it carefully, Xiao Chen found that it was quite possible that he had been seen through. After all, Lu Shuangshuang had done it with him several times. Besides, they had been in frequent contact before. She also knew him very well. She might have suspected him because of this. Although his appearance and voice had been changed, it was hard for him to change his habits and actions in a short time. When he pretended to be White Fox, he was also seen through by Jin Beibei. Xiao Chen raised his head and looked ahead. It seemed that Cheng Minjing did not notice anything unusual. After thinking about it, Xiao Chen felt that since he had discovered it, he could not ignore it. Seeing that they were about to reach Tang Tang's place, Xiao Chen simply found an excuse. He said that he had to buy some vegetables, and asked Cheng Minjing to go back first. What? I just saw the guy selling fried dough sticks in front of me. How come he disappeared in a blink of an eye? At this time, Lu Shuangshuang was hiding behind an electric pole, with a pair of big sunglasses and a mask. Some passers-by who did not know what was going on all looked at her, thinking that she was a big star in disguise. Why are you hiding here? You are so sneaky. Are you trying to steal something? Xiao Chen suddenly appeared behind Lu Shuangshuang. He patted her shoulder softly and asked in confusion. Xiao Chen did not want to expose her, but after thinking for a while he still decided to take action. Chapter 879. Although he had not encountered any danger yet, it would be dangerous if Lu Shuangshuang became suspicious of him and frequently appeared nearby. Who knew if this old thing had investigated the relationship between him and Lu Shuang, and sent someone to follow her. Curiosity killed the cat. Ah! Lu Shuang was shocked by Xiao Chun. She jumped high and turned around, screaming. She asked incredulously, why are you behind me? This doesn't make sense. Weren't you near the stairs just now? Don't I often behind you? But sometimes I'm above you. Don't you remember? Xiao Chun said in a low voice with a teasing look on his face. He did not return to his original appearance, but his voice had returned to its original state. What are you talking about? Psycho. Pervert. Lu Shuang first glared at Xiao Chun in disgust. Just as she was about to turn around and leave, she suddenly felt that the voice sounded a little familiar. She paused and asked with some hesitation and surprise. Who exactly are you? You still don't recognize me? I am Yang Jiannan. Or you can call me Xiao Chong. Xiao Chun touched his nose helplessly. He thought that Lu Shuang could recognize his voice, but she did not recognize him. Ah, you are Xiao. Lu Shuang covered her mouth before she could finish her sentence. She remembered that there were special reasons why Xiao Chun disguised himself as someone else. So she realized that she could not expose him directly. Looking at Xiao Chun, who looked completely different, Lu Shuang whispered in surprise. How did you become like this again? Are you on a mission? It's a long story. Xiao Chun sighed and briefly told her what had happened recently. I see. You haven't contacted me for so long. I thought you didn't want me anymore. Lu Shuang lowered her head and said shyly. How could that be? Xiao Chun pinched her cheek with a smile and whispered. If it weren't for the fact that the current matter might involve you, I would have come to you as soon as I returned to Songning. After all, my brother and I haven't seen you for a long time. We really miss you. Which brother of yours? Lu Shuang was stunned. Seeing the evil smile on Xiao Chun's face, she suddenly understood and blushed. She lightly punched Xiao Chun's chest and pouted. You are so bad. The moment you saw me, you thought of this. Don't you want to? Xiao Chun teased her a little more. Seeing that it was getting late, he ruffled Lu Shuang's hair and said, All right, it's getting late. I should go back. It's good that you know it's me. Don't tell anyone, not even Lin. Lu Shuang nodded. Yes, I will keep this a secret. I'll take my leave first then. Xiao Chun nodded. Lu Shuang hesitated for a while, stepped forward, tiptoed, and kissed Xiao Chun directly on the lips. Although Xiao Chun was stunned, he still kissed her back affectionately at once. The two lingered for a while, and Lu Shuang blushed. She looked back every 3 steps and left reluctantly. Cheng Minjing watched TV at home for a while. She waited for a long time, but Xiao Chun didn't come back. She was a little worried, fearing that something had happened to him. After thinking about it, Cheng Minjing simply leaned on the windowsill and looked downstairs. She happened to see the scene of Lu Shuang tiptoeing and kissing Xiao Chun. The young lady was so angry that smoke was coming out of her head. Well, there really is something going on between you and Lu Shuang. That woman is too shameless. In broad daylight, in public, she actually dared to take the initiative to kiss him. She must not be a good woman. Umph. Damn Xiao Chun, stinky Xiao Chun. I was worried about whether you were in danger or not. I didn't expect you to be flirting with a girl downstairs. I'm so angry. Cheng Minjing grumbled angrily. She felt that she had nowhere to vent her anger. She simply grabbed the pillow that Xiao Chun was sleeping on and punched it a few times. Only then did she feel a little better. After a while, she heard the door open. Xiao Chun came back with a bag of fruits and vegetables. Hearing the door open, Cheng Minjing rushed out of the room and glared at him angrily. Her eyes were almost on fire. Young lady, why do you look like you have a deep grudge? Did the rats steal all the snacks again? Xiao Chun didn't understand and asked doubtfully. Last time, Cheng Minjing secretly hid a few bags of snacks. In the end, before she started eating, all the snacks were stolen by the rats that slipped in. Xiao Chun thought that the rats came to visit again. He was still puzzled. Could it be that the rat poison that he bought before didn't work? Xiao Chun, where did you go just now? Why did you come back so late? Tell me the truth. Cheng Minjing frowned and asked angrily. Didn't I tell you just now? I went to buy some fruits and vegetables for you. Tonight, we will make a fruit and vegetable salad. Xiao Chun scratched his head and answered with a confused face. Did the young lady's memory start to deteriorate so early? He had clearly told her before he went upstairs. Really? You just went to buy some things? You didn't do anything else behind my back? Chung Minjing narrowed her eyes dangerously and asked word by word. Yes. Xiaochen innocently raised the bag full of fruits and vegetables in his hand and shook it. He wondered, is there something wrong with your eyes? Can't you see the big bag in my hand? Humph. There's something wrong with your eyes. What stupid fruit and vegetable salad. I don't want to eat it. You can eat it yourself. Chung Minjing snorted heavily and said in her heart, Xiaochen, you big bastard. You were kissed by Lu Shuangshuang in public. You did something wrong, but you still dare to be so self-righteous. You really don't put me in your eyes at all. Young lady, what's wrong with you? I just went out for a long time. You don't have to be so angry. Before Xiaochen could finish, Chung Minjing impatiently covered her ears, as if she didn't want to listen to his explanation. Liar. You are a big liar. In addition to covering her ears, Chung Minjing roared again. She stomped her feet angrily, turned around, and ran into the room. How did I lie to you? Young lady. Minjing. Xiaochen was shocked. He quickly put down the things in his hand and chased after her. Just as he ran to the door, he heard a loud bang. Chung Minjing directly closed the door. Xiaochen's nose was almost smashed. Then, with a click, the door was locked by Chung Minjing. Xiaochen was confused as he recalled the meaning of Chung Minjing's words. Suddenly his heart skipped a beat. Could it be? My ambiguous actions with Lu Shuangshuang downstairs were discovered by young lady? The more Xiaochen thought about it, the more likely it seemed. The window of the room was facing downstairs. As long as young lady stood by the window and poked her head out, she would be able to see the situation downstairs. Sigh. Xiaochen hit his head in annoyance. What a blunder. If he knew this would happen, he would have hidden further away with Lu Shuangshuang. After understanding the whole story, Xiaochen quickly used his primordial qi to open the door. He saw Chung Minjing sitting on the bed angrily. She was hugging his pillow and hammering it heavily. Her cheeks were puffed up like two big buns. She looked like a hamster. She looked quite cute. Ahem. Minjing, actually Lu Shuangshuang, and I have known each other for a long time. We. Xiaochen quickly shook his head and threw the thought out of his mind. What cute. Based on the current situation, it was better to hurry up and explain the situation. So, Xiaochen told her everything in detail, including how he was Lu Shuangshuang's fake boyfriend, and then accidentally had a relationship with Lu Shuangshuang. He spilled everything like beans pouring out of a bamboo tube. In fact, if it wasn't for Chung Minjing accidentally discovering this scene, Xiaochen planned to hide it from her for a while. No matter what, the first miss was Xiaochen's legitimate fiancé, and she had never liked it when he went around messing around. If this matter were to be revealed, wouldn't that be asking for trouble? But now that it had come to this, in order to coax Chung Minjing, Xiaochen could only tell her everything he could. Fortunately, this time Chung Minjing didn't interrupt Xiaochen's explanation again. She listened to him until the end. Humph. Are you finally willing to tell the truth? Didn't you say that there was something wrong with my eyes just now? Chung Minjing pouted and glared at Xiaochen. She took out her phone and quickly flipped through it a few times. She handed it to Xiaochen and said, Don't try to deny it. I took photos of all the bad things you did. This is the best evidence. This. Xiaochen glanced at the phone and felt a little depressed. Although the photos were a little blurry, he could still recognize Xiaochen and Lu Shuangshuang. In desperation, Xiaochen had to explain. I wanted to wait until this matter is over, and then find a suitable opportunity to explain to you. I didn't expect you to be so smart and catch me. But you can't lie to me. No matter what, I am your mistress and fiancé. When you lied to me, didn't you consider my feelings? Although Xiaochen admitted his mistake, Chung Minjing was still a little unhappy. She couldn't accept being deceived by others, especially being deceived by someone who was so close to Xiaochen. It made her even angrier. I was afraid of making you angry. That's why I didn't dare to say it. Otherwise, I wouldn't dare to deceive you, Xiaochen said with a bitter face. He felt a little bitter in his heart. If he told her about his romantic history, He was afraid that she would vomit blood in anger. Really? Are you really afraid that I will be angry? Chung Minjing looked at Xiaochen suspiciously and asked. Yes. If you don't believe me, I can swear on the lamp. Xiaochen felt Chung Minjing's suspicion. He quickly pointed at the ceiling and patted his chest. Chapter 880. All right then. I'll reluctantly forgive you. You don't have to make such an old-fashioned oath. Just don't keep trying to hide it from me in the future. Chung Minjing's expression relaxed. She nodded, and her expression wasn't as ugly as before. She put down the pillow in her hand and took the phone from Xiaochen's hand to play with it. I won't anymore. All right, are you hungry? I'll go make some fruit and vegetables for you to eat now. Xiaochen politely rolled up his sleeves and walked towards the kitchen. He secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He originally thought that Chung Minjing would make a fuss for a while. He didn't expect her to be appeased with just a few words. Chung Minjing lowered her head and played with it for a while. Suddenly she remembered something. She put down the phone and said, Wait, let me ask you something. Oh, what is it? Xiaochen immediately stopped and turned his head. His heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Missy found out about my situation again? It's nothing big. It's just that. Has your cultivation been effective recently? Chung Minjing tilted her head and asked hesitantly. Cultivation? It should be, all right. Xiaochen was stunned for a moment before answering hesitantly. In fact, he hadn't cultivated properly for a long time. Now, not only did he have to sell youtiao to make a living during the day, he also had to be on guard against Miss Xing. At night, he had to worry about Ma Lanxiao coming to find him. He needed to maintain a high state of mind. Under such circumstances, how could Xiao Chun have the time to cultivate? Oh, Chung Minjing responded. She seemed to be immersed in her own world and hadn't come back to her senses. Xiaochen thought for a moment. He guessed that Chung Minjing might have encountered some difficulties in her cultivation. So he asked, What's wrong? Are you in some kind of trouble? It's been a long time since we left the Quishan sect, right? I feel like my cultivation isn't having any effect. I haven't made any progress at all. I don't know what's going on, Chung Minjing said, a puzzled look on her face. She was indeed confused. Every day, she cultivated according to the mental cultivation method, but the results were minimal. She did not make any progress at all. It couldn't be, right? Are you kidding me? Xiaochen was a little surprised. He knew that Miss had been practicing hard every night since she returned to Songning City. Although she lacked the assistance of the sect's treasures, she shouldn't have stagnated in her progress. Really? I'm not lying to you. I'm still at the first level of Devil Master. Chung Minjing lowered her head and said weakly. She didn't understand what was going on either. Everything was fine when she was in the Kuei Mountain sect, and her cultivation speed was quite fast. Why was it that she couldn't do the same after returning to the secular world? This time, Xiaochen really felt that it was a little strange. Looking at Chung Minjing's conflicted expression, it didn't seem like she was trying to trick him. However, logically speaking, regardless of whether it was a martial cultivator or a demonic cultivator, the influence of the environment had always been relatively small. These two were completely different from cultivators. In addition to absorbing the spiritual qi of heaven and earth, cultivators also needed precious medicinal herbs as support. It could be said that the conditions for cultivation were extremely harsh. Just like Li Xiener, didn't she always stay at the first level of the qi refinement stage because she didn't have anyone to guide her? Yi Xiaoya was also a devil cultivator like Chung Minjing, but when she was in the secular world, didn't she also cultivate well? Of course, it might be because she had all kinds of spiritual herbs to help her, so her cultivation speed was faster. However, even without the help of spiritual herbs, she wouldn't be stagnant. Are you sure that your devil cultivation level didn't advance at all? Xiaochen confirmed again. Yes, I'm sure. Chung Minjing looked at Xiaochen pitifully, hoping that he could point her out. But in fact, Xiaochen didn't know much about devil cultivators. Although in the eyes of others, he was definitely a devil cultivator, because he was a disciple of the Devil Star sect. In fact, that was just a disguise. After all, The awesome thing about cultivators was that they could learn the martial skills of devil cultivators and martial cultivators at the same time, and no one would see through them. Well, although Xiaochen didn't know it himself, he still had a teacher. Xiaochen pretended to be deep in thought, and then secretly asked in the divine sense space, "Elder Heaven Ancestor, what's going on? Why can't Cheng Minjing cultivate in the secular world? Is there no spiritual herbs to help her?" A few days ago, Elder Heaven Ancestor had already woken up from his dormant state, but he could only speak. Old Demon Fire Wolf and Flame of the Underworld were still in a dormant state, and they didn't respond even when he called them. It would probably take a few more days for them to recover. Ask her to bring the mental cultivation method over, and let me take a look at it before I can make a conclusion. It's not easy for me to make a direct judgment with just her and you talking. Although Elder Heaven Ancestor had recovered, his voice was still a little weak. After hearing Elder Heaven Ancestor's words, Xiaochen nodded slightly and reached out to ask Cheng Minjing for the book. "How about this, young miss? Give me the niece's Heart Sutra first, and I'll see if there's any problem with it. I've told you many times that it's the Weaver's Heart Sutra. What niece and niece? Why don't you have a good memory?" Cheng Minjing grumbled, and then took out the mental cultivation method from the side of the pillow and threw it over. She had already flipped through the book, but she still couldn't find any clues. Now she could only rely on Xiaochen. Xiaochen didn't answer, and instead took the book and flipped through it, pretending to read it himself, but in reality, he was showing it to Elder Heaven Ancestor in his consciousness space. After a while, Elder Heaven Ancestor finished reading the entire Weaver's Heart Sutra, and couldn't help but click his tongue in wonder. "Tisk tsk. I didn't expect this mental cultivation method to fall into the hands of the Kuei Mountain sect." "What's wrong? Is there something wrong?" Xiaochen asked. "This is a mental cultivation method. It's not an ordinary demonic cultivation method, and it definitely can't be cultivated in ordinary ways. If she just cultivated it like that, she wouldn't be able to achieve anything in her lifetime," Elder Heaven Ancestor replied matter-of-factly. "What? Young miss is also a cultivator. Elder Heaven Ancestor, are you sure you're not mistaken? How is that possible? Could it be that you've just woken up from hibernation and haven't fully recovered, so you're mistaken?" Xiaochen asked in shock. He couldn't believe it. How did young miss become a cultivator? F***ck off. How could I be mistaken? I've seen this mental cultivation method before. It's called the art of silkworm and phoenix, an ancient mental cultivation method. I don't know how it was passed down, but it was changed into the Weaver's Heart Sutra, Elder Heaven Ancestor explained impatiently. "Art of silkworm and phoenix? There are actually 5 words, and it sounds very powerful," Xiaochen exclaimed in surprise. "Of course it's powerful, although this mental cultivation method can't compare to your Heaven's Stolen Fortune battle art. If it's cultivated by a girl, it'll be twice the result with half the effort. When it's fully mastered, it might not be any worse than yours," Elder Heaven Ancestor said. "What the F***ck? Is this for real?" Xiaochen was very surprised at first, but then he suddenly remembered that cultivators were a very powerful existence, so he could only accept this reality. He sighed in his heart that young miss was also a legend. "It's true, but she's not like you. It's not easy for her to cultivate to this realm without anyone's guidance." Elder Heaven Ancestor's tone was a bit more appreciative. "Is she really that powerful?" Xiaochen was a bit unconvinced. "What, you don't believe me?" Elder Heaven Ancestor said lightly. "If you don't believe me, you can wait for the next time she shows her strength. Take a closer look and you'll feel it. Speaking of which, it seems like she's never shown her strength before." Xiaochen thought about it and was speechless. During the time he lived with Cheng Minjing, he had never seen her real strength, nor did he see her fight with anyone. If it wasn't for the fact that she often cultivated at night, he would have forgotten about it. Thinking of this, Xiaochen raised his head and said to Cheng Minjing, "Minjing, try to show off your strength." "Why? Why would I show off my strength for no reason? What if someone finds out?" Cheng Minjing rolled her eyes and retorted. Recently, she had been very careful when she cultivated. and she usually tried to not let the devil chi in her body leak out. She was afraid that if she was not careful, she would be discovered by the Kuei Mountain faction and cause trouble. Now that Xiao Chen suddenly asked her to show off her strength, she naturally had to be cautious. "It's nothing, I'm just pretending." Xiao Chen shrugged. Suddenly he smiled slyly and teased, "Speaking of which, you really don't need to pretend. You already have it, anyway, you just need to show it off. It's not like you'll lose out." "Xiao Chen, do you believe that I won't kick you to death?" Cheng Minjing was not stupid. She could tell that Xiao Chen's words had a different meaning. She was so angry that her eyebrows were raised. She wanted to rush over and beat him up. What kind of person was he? This was too filthy. I'm just joking. I just wanted to see your strength. Maybe I can find the reason. I can't confirm it just by listening to you, right?" Xiao Chen knew that he had misspoken and quickly tried to salvage the situation. You're right. Alright, just you wait." Cheng Minjing glared at Xiao Chen again. Then, she activated her mental cultivation method and released a thick devil chi from her body. The strength of a level 1 devil master was displayed clearly. Xiao Chen was so shocked that his mouth formed an O shape. What kind of level 1 devil master is this? This is clearly a level 10 refinement stage cultivator. No wonder Big Miss has such a high requirement for the heaven and earth spiritual chi. When Xiao Chen was cultivating, it was also because the heaven and earth spiritual chi in the secular world was extremely sparse. Therefore, he could only rely on spirit jades and heavenly treasures to increase his cultivation. Otherwise, he would not have been able to reach this stage today. It was normal for Big Miss to have no progress. It would be strange if she had. After knowing the reason, Xiao Chen felt a little depressed. How was he supposed to explain this matter to Big Miss? If he wanted to explain this thing, it would definitely take a lot of effort. She was also a novice who had just entered the sect, and he only had a smattering of knowledge about cultivators. He couldn't possibly let her enter his divine sense space and directly talk to Elder Celestial, could he? Chapter 881. Xiao Chen, what are you thinking about? Is it that difficult to solve my cultivation problem? Could it be that something has happened? Cheng Minjing looked at Xiao Chen frowning and thinking hard. She couldn't help but ask. She felt a little uneasy. What's wrong? Is there something wrong with my cultivation method? Sigh. Well, it's actually like this. Xiao Chen pondered for a while. Before Cheng Minjing was about to explode, he finally sighed and tried his best to explain the difference between a cultivator and a martial cultivator. You mean, I'm a cultivator? Not a demonic cultivator or a martial cultivator? Cheng Minjing was confused. Although she couldn't fully understand what Xiao Chen had just said, she still grasped the main point of the problem. That's right. You're a brilliant cultivator. Xiao Chen nodded heavily. How did you know? I've never heard anyone mention a cultivator. You didn't make it up to fool me, did you? Cheng Minjing asked suspiciously. However, she felt that what Xiao Chen had said before seemed to be very logical. It didn't seem like he was lying to her. Because I'm also a cultivator. I say, you're really daring. Where could I have come up with those lies? I must have had a basis to say that. Do you think I'm a novelist? Xiao Chen shook his head helplessly. How could such a meticulous cultivation logic be made up? What? You too? Cheng Minjing was stunned and looked at Xiao Chen in disbelief. However, she suddenly recalled that Xiao Chen seemed to have been constantly drinking medicine and training since he was kicked out of the Xiao family and moved into her villa. Later, he would encounter all kinds of dangerous situations from time to time. He was not willing to help her, but it seemed that he could escape successfully every time. Recalling this, Cheng Minjing finally believed his words a little. Yeah. Otherwise, how could a good-for-nothing young master like me be able to kill so many people in such a short time? I can even trample on those troublemakers until they piss their pants in terror, Xiao Chen said with a chuckle. If he hadn't been saved by the Elder Heaven Ancestor by chance, perhaps he would have been killed by Chao Yuliang and the others. Ah, does that mean that I can have those magical abilities just like you? Happiness came too suddenly. Cheng Minjing couldn't accept it for a while and asked doubtfully. Well, I can teach you some special abilities of cultivators. Since you are a cultivator, you should be able to learn them very quickly, Xiao Chun said with a smile. Next, Xiao Chun told Cheng Minjing how to transform, how to use the simple fireball technique, and so on. However, when these skills were used by the young miss, they basically didn't have any lethality. After all, her strength was still too low. At most, she could only light a fire and wash her hands. At the beginning, Cheng Minjing was worried that the fireball technique would burn her hands. Due to her nervousness, she couldn't successfully activate it several times. However, after Xiao Chun personally demonstrated it to her, her psychological barrier gradually decreased. Slowly, she was able to successfully activate the fireball technique. However, the weak flame was probably only enough to light a cigarette. As for the transformation, the young miss had no problem. After a few tries, she succeeded. However, with her strength, she couldn't maintain her appearance for a long time. Otherwise, the energy in her body would be exhausted very quickly. After learning the new ability, Cheng Minjing couldn't help but be surprised and happy. This time, she really believed that she was a cultivator. There were probably only a few in the entire Great Xia Kingdom who had such a rare and powerful existence. However, after being happy, Cheng Minjing began to worry again. Her identity might be incredible, but it would be a waste if she couldn't increase her strength. In the past, when she was in the Kuei Mountain sect, not only was the heaven and earth energy abundant, but there were also plenty of treasures. There was no need to worry about the progress of cultivation. Now in Songning City, even living was a problem. She had to live in fear every day, let alone buying those expensive herbs for cultivation. Xiao Chun was also very distressed. Even though he knew that the young miss was a cultivator, he didn't have the money to buy the herbs for her cultivation. Back then, he had to spend 1 or 2 million just to buy a set of herbs. And that was after the discount. The tens of thousands of yuan that he scammed was not even comparable to a drizzle. It wasn't enough to do anything. Apart from the herbs, the most essential thing on the path of cultivation was the spirit jade that could be used to assist cultivation. Xiao Chun didn't forget that he had racked his brains to find a piece of spirit jade previously. There was no place to look for it now. However, if he could go to Little Hong's medicine store, he could use his identity to get some free herbs. But in this way, Xiao Chun's original appearance would have to be restored. He didn't want to expose his identity so quickly. After all, the person in the medicine store wasn't Hong Zhu, and was only a stranger to him. Who knew if he could keep his mouth shut? It was better to be cautious. At the thought of this, Xiao Chun missed Hong Zhu, and wondered how she was doing recently. After she left in a hurry, the two of them hadn't seen each other again. He vaguely heard that the Hong family seemed to have some problems, but he didn't know if she had solved it. In fact, Xiao Chun thought of a way, which was to secretly borrow some money from Xia Zhili and make a trip to the Hakanamata desert. There were countless desert hermit scorpions there. If he could stay there for a period of time, not only would he be able to obtain spirit stones for the young miss cultivation, but he could also earn a lot of living expenses. However, the risk factor of this action was too high. Xiao Chun didn't mind it, but he couldn't leave the young miss alone in Songning City. It would be terrible if she ran into trouble when she left. He couldn't think of a suitable way for the time being. In desperation, Xiao Chun could only helplessly ask for help from the Elder Heaven Ancestor. Elder Heaven Ancestor, what should I do? I have no money and no spirit stones now. How can I let the young miss cultivation speed catch up? Isn't it simple? The Elder Heaven Ancestor said with contempt. Ah, Elder Heaven Ancestor, you have a way? Sure enough, Master is more powerful. Tell me quickly. Xiao Chun was overjoyed and quickly asked. The two of you can do dual cultivation. The Elder Heaven Ancestor said matter-of-factly. Since both of you are cultivators, the speed of dual cultivation will definitely be fast. It will be much faster than when you and Yi Xiaoya practiced dual cultivation. Dual cultivation? This? Xiao Chun was shocked, and he immediately recalled the charming scene of him dual cultivating with Yi Xiaoya at that time. As he looked at the lovely and moving eldest young miss before him, he instantly let his imagination run wild and blurted out, Eldest young miss, I've thought of a good idea. We can dual cultivate. In this way, you can upgrade your level very quickly. How do we do it? Just like you and Yi Xiaoya. Cheng Minjing was stunned and asked with a red face. Although she was eager to improve her strength, she hadn't thought about further development with Xiao Chen. Does this Xiao Chen have an ulterior motive? Well, dual cultivation is actually very simple. After Yi Xiaoya practiced dual cultivation with me, she upgraded faster than taking an elevator. You're definitely better than her. Xiao Chen nodded with a smile. I don't want to. I'm just your fiancé. Don't dream of having a relationship beyond friendship with me before we get married. I'm not as shameless as Yi Xiaoya. Seeing Xiao Chen's wretched smile, Cheng Minjing was sure that this guy definitely had bad intentions, so she immediately rejected him. No, dual cultivation isn't actually that. You're thinking too much. Dual cultivation means. Xiao Chen rubbed his nose awkwardly and gave a simple explanation of the concept of dual cultivation. Of course, Xiao Chen thought that if young miss was really willing to do that with him, maybe she would upgrade faster, like sitting on a rocket. But since she didn't have this idea, there was no need for Xiao Chen to say it. If he was not careful, he would be beaten up for no reason. Then we still have to take off our clothes, right? Even if we don't take it off, when we upgrade, the clothes on our body will be shattered. Cheng Minjing blinked her eyes and raised the question in her heart. When she was practicing before, she had encountered this kind of embarrassing situation. When she upgraded, her clothes would be shattered. But fortunately, they were all in the room at that time, and no one saw it. Yeah, but we can practice dual cultivation with a curtain between us, so you don't have to worry about what I will see, Xiao Chen said after thinking about it. I see, then give me some time. Let me think about it first. Cheng Minjing suddenly fell into a dilemma and began to struggle. She wanted to gain strength, but she didn't want to let Xiao Chen take advantage of her. Although there was a curtain, Cheng Minjing also knew that with the ability of a cultivator, that curtain was nothing at all. Okay, then I will go and cook first. Let me know when you think about it. Xiao Chen also knew Cheng Minjing's character. She would definitely be entangled in this kind of thing for a long time, so he was not in a hurry to urge her. Instead, he went to busy himself. The days passed by peacefully. The two still got up early to sell fried dough sticks. Although they were very tired, and they would quarrel from time to time, they both felt that this kind of life was very warm in their hearts. Cheng Minjing had gradually mastered various skills of a cultivator. After continuous training, her 6 senses had become stronger. Under Xiao Chen's guidance, she was like a fish in water when making fried dough sticks and fried cakes. She shared a lot of the workload for Xiao Chen. Therefore, the two's business became more and more prosperous. Early in the morning every day, there would be a long line waiting to buy their fried dough sticks. If it weren't for the fact that they were on the run, Xiao Chen would have thought about opening another branch. As for the matter of dual cultivation, the miss seemed to have completely forgotten it and never mentioned it again. If she didn't mention it, Xiao Chen couldn't take the initiative to mention it, so he could only put it aside for now. On this night, Xiao Chen was concentrating on cultivation in his room. Suddenly, he felt a murderous aura approaching from afar. It was quickly approaching the direction of this community. Xiao Chen suddenly became vigilant. He thought in his heart, it seems that what will come will come. My whereabouts are still exposed. Chapter 882. But what puzzled Xiao Chen was, how did Ma Peizha find him? Logically speaking, it shouldn't be Miss Xing who snitched on him. Otherwise, Ma Peizha would have come to kill him long ago. But apart from her, who else in Songning City knew that he was selling fried dough sticks in the morning market street and living in Tang Tang's house? It was even more impossible for Lu Shuangshuang. They hadn't seen each other since the last time they parted. Even if they followed the vine to the melon, the vine would have been rotten long ago. Xiao Chen was puzzled. In fact, Ma Baobao had been staying in Songning City all this time. He had been looking for Xiao Chen like crazy, but he still couldn't find him. He had almost turned the entire Songning City upside down. In the end, after searching for a long time, one of his disciples finally found some connections in the warrior guild and found out about some of Xiao Chen's experiences after he fell from grace. The news was relayed to Headmaster Mapeja. Only then did he recall what Red Hair said before and finally locked on to Tang Tang's house. After confirming Xiao Chen's whereabouts, Mapeja brought his disciples and rushed to the neighborhood near the morning market street overnight. He went straight to the place where Xiao Chen lived and was ready to catch him in one fell swoop. As soon as he arrived at the unit where Xiao Chen lived, Mapeja saw the window on the third floor was suddenly pushed open. Xiao Chen and Cheng Minjing rode on their flying swords and rushed out with a whoosh. It seemed that they were ready to escape. Humph! You want to play the same trick again? You won't be able to escape, even if you have wings this time. Mapeja wasn't surprised. Instead, he snorted and waved his hand in the direction of Xiao Chen. A big net with barbs whizzed out and directly covered Xiao Chen and Cheng Minjing. F***CK. What the hell is this? Xiao Chen, who was standing on the flying sword, was startled. Before he could react, he was covered tightly by the net. He wanted to struggle free, but he didn't expect that there were countless barbs stuck to the net. They firmly hooked onto his clothes, making it impossible for him to break free. Just the fact that the barbs had hooked onto his clothes was secondary. The key was that when Xiao Chen's skin was pierced by the barbs, he immediately felt his entire body tremble. The surface of his skin was instantly paralyzed, and he could not even circulate his primordial qi. Unable to control the flying swords, the two of them instantly lost their balance and fell from the sky, falling straight down the stairs. Ah! Xiao Chen, quickly think of a way. Cheng Minjing screamed, her voice trembling. Although she also knew that as a cultivator, falling from the third floor wouldn't be a problem, it was still the first time for her to directly face such a big crisis, so she was a little scared. Bang! Before Xiao Chen could reply, he and Cheng Minjing fell to the ground with a loud thud. Fortunately, their cultivation wasn't weak, so it wasn't a big deal, as they didn't have primordial qi to protect their bodies. Although Xiao Chen and Cheng Minjing weren't seriously injured, they were still shaken to the point that they were dizzy. Ugh! Cheng Minjing groaned in pain. She opened her eyes slightly and realized that she wasn't injured at all. Slightly surprised, Cheng Minjing quickly felt that the bottom of her body seemed to be soft, not like the ground. Only after taking a closer look did she realize that Xiao Chen had protected her in his arms, using his body as a cushion to protect her. That was why she was safe and unscathed. Thinking of this, Cheng Minjing was a little worried and a little touched. She wanted to struggle to stand up, but the moment she moved, she touched a few wounds on Xiao Chen's body. Xiao Chen couldn't bear it and cried out in pain. Ouch! Xiao Chen, how are you? Cheng Minjing was shocked. She wanted to climb down from Xiao Chen's body, but she didn't dare to move too much. She looked around and saw that the net that trapped them was stuck with many sharp barbs. She panicked and didn't know what to do. Minjing, don't be nervous, I'm fine. Think of a way to get rid of this net first, but the barbs on it seem a little strange. Be careful, don't get pricked. Xiao Chen gritted his teeth and endured the pain. He tried to circulate his primordial qi, but found that something seemed to have invaded his body, paralyzing several meridians, and his primordial qi couldn't circulate smoothly. Okay, I'll try. But this net is so strange. Cheng Minjing tried to tear the net apart, but she felt that not only was she unable to open it, but it was also getting tighter. Moreover, there was a lot of mucus on the net that stuck her fingers, and she couldn't exert any strength at all. Ha ha ha. Don't waste your effort. This is an inescapable net weaved by the ancient spider spirit beast. You can't get rid of it. As for the barbs, I specially asked the craftsman to add them. I also smeared a poison that can paralyze a cultivator for a short period of time and block the devil qi in the body. Even a Daluo golden immortal can't do anything about it. Ma Wuxia said proudly. In order to deal with Xiao Chen's untraceable flying sword, Ma Wuxia had gone all out this time. He took out the sect's only ancient divine weapon. Humph. I can't believe that the sect leader of the Kuei Mountain sect would use such despicable methods. You're even more shameless than me. Xiao Chen didn't seem to be moved, but he was very anxious. He could only ask the heavens. No, Elder Heaven Ancestor, for help. Elder Heaven Ancestor. Quick, help me think of a way to break this inescapable net. Tisk tsk. Now that your primordial chi is paralyzed, you can't do anything. Also, Nethery is in a dormant state, or she could have burned the net. Elder Heaven Ancestor was not as anxious as Xiaochen. Instead, he said leisurely, "Who asked you to be so impulsive wanting to kill that Ma Wuxia? Look, you've gotten yourself into big trouble now, haven't you? F***ck. Do you think I want to? Stop making sarcastic remarks. That Ma Wuxia has already heated up his lunch, waiting for me to collect it. You don't want to see your disciple get beaten to death, do you?" Xiao Chun was a little helpless. At this critical moment, Elder Heaven Ancestor still had the time to joke. "I say, Xiao Chun, you don't seem to understand. Although you can't use your primordial chi, your fiancé can. Why don't you just let her use a fireball technique to burn the net? However, with her level of cultivation, it will take a little more time." Elder Tion let out a long sigh and said unhurriedly, "Holy sh*t, you're clearly messing with me. Where do I have the time to wait for her to burn the net? How about, when Ma Wuxia attacks, you help me take a palm strike?" Xiao Chun was anxious. He didn't expect that at this critical moment, Elder Heaven Ancestor would not think about something practical and keep coming up with some stupid ideas. "Sure." Elder Heaven Ancestor agreed happily. But then he said, "But I haven't recovered to my best condition, and there's no little demon in Nethery to help share the damage. Even if I help you block it, you'll die." F***ck. Xiao Chun was speechless. He had a glimmer of hope, but Elder Heaven Ancestor extinguished it directly. Depressed, he whispered to Qing Minjing, "Young lady, I'll distract Ma Wuxia later. You use the fireball technique I taught you as soon as possible to burn this net." "Okay, I'll give it a try." Qing Minjing nodded slightly and replied softly. Although Qing Minjing didn't know if she could do it with her strength, she could only do as Xiao Chun said. "Xiao Chun, how about it? Have you finished saying your last words to your little lover? I don't have time to wait for you to write your last words. I'll send you down now to be buried with my son." Ma Wuxia was afraid that Xiao Chun would play some tricks again, so he didn't bother to talk to him and directly slapped Xiao Chun. "Young lady, now is the time." Xiao Chun gestured to Qing Minjing to destroy the net, while he gritted his teeth and protected her behind him. Looking at Ma Wuxia approaching quickly, Xiao Chun secretly prayed that he would accidentally step on a banana peel when he rushed over and get seriously injured, so that he could buy some time. However, Xiao Chun's wish didn't come true. The road between him and Ma Wuxia was smooth, without any banana peels. Just as Ma Wuxia's palm wind was about to touch Xiao Chun, a man in black with a bag on his back suddenly blocked in front of him. Without saying a word, he directly raised his hand to meet Ma Wuxia's palm. Bang! There was a loud noise. The man in black also displayed his extremely strong strength, forcibly blocking Ma Wuxia's attack. After the two powerful demonic auras collided, it formed a shock wave that spread in all directions. The turbulent airflow sent all the Kuei Mountain sect disciples, who were standing at the side to watch the show flying. You're in the great perfection realm of Demon King level 10. Ma Wuxia didn't expect that someone would rush out to stop him. In a panic, his breath was slightly messed up, and he was shaken a few steps back. He spat out a mouthful of blood. He stared at the man in black in front of him, his face full of horror. Just now, Ma Wuxia was afraid that Xiao Chun had a backup plan, so he didn't use all his strength in that palm strike. However, the man in black's palm strike had the strength of the great perfection realm of Demon King level 10. Therefore, although the two of them were of the same level, Ma Wuxia was obviously at a disadvantage when their palms collided. However, the man in black didn't feel good either. Although he didn't spit out blood like Ma Wuxia, his internal organs also churned, and he was almost shaken out of place. Who are you? Tell me your name if you have the guts. Sneaking around, what kind of man are you?" Ma Wuxia asked with a sullen face. Since he already knew that the other party's strength was the same as his, Ma Wuxia didn't dare to act rashly. "I'm the hero bandit who robbed the rich to help the poor, Robin Hood. I hate people like you who bully the weak the most. You actually killed this kind of commoner, so shameless. If you still want to live, then go back obediently." The man in black snorted coldly. Although he couldn't see the man in black's face clearly, Xiaochen could immediately tell from her voice and figure that this person was no doubt Qixing. Her claim of Robin Hood was definitely made up. However, what puzzled Xiaochen was why Qixing would suddenly help him. Chapter 883. Could it be that she had spied on him for so long just to save him? Could it be that she wanted to repay his kindness because he had treated her previously? You're not from the Xia kingdom?" Ma Peja was a little shocked. Where did this guy come from? Robin Hood was a foreign name, and he was actually a hero thief. Why did all foreign thieves have such high cultivation? Don't talk nonsense. Do you want to live, or do you want to know where I am from? Miss Xing asked expressionlessly. In order to monitor Xiaochen at all times, she and Ling Qianxue had rented a house in the district where Xiaochen lived. Just now, she had felt Ma Pei's killing intent, so she rushed over and hid at the side to observe. She originally thought that Xiaochen could smoothly escape with the help of the flying sword, but she didn't expect to be caught by Ma Pei's inescapable net. Miss Xing had no choice but to change into Ling Qianxue's nocturnal clothes and dress up as a thief to help. "Why ya, you little brat, how dare you challenge me? I will make sure you die without a burial place." Ma Peja was so angry that smoke was coming out of his head. Feeling that his injuries had slightly recovered, he roared and flew towards Miss Xing. Although Ma Peja seemed to be foolhardy in his rage and directly rushed forward, in reality, he had secretly used a hidden weapon between his index finger and thumb when he waved his palm. If one didn't observe carefully, it was basically impossible to tell. Seeing Ma Peja's action, Miss Xing was momentarily stunned. After exchanging blows with Ma Peja, she could clearly feel that his injuries were heavier than hers. She didn't expect him to still dare to take the initiative to attack. Could it be that he has a special recovery technique and has already healed his injuries? But that's not very likely. How could the Kai Tian sect not know what good things the Kuei Shan sect had? Although she was muttering in her heart, Miss Xing's movements did not have the slightest bit of hesitation. She once again struck out towards Ma Peja, but at this moment, she suddenly heard Xiaochen shout from behind, "Lady boy, don't touch Ma Peja's palm." It turned out that at that moment, with the help of the moonlight, Xiaochen saw a flash of light in Ma Wuzhuan's palm and immediately understood his intention. However, Xiaochen's reminder came too late. Before he could finish his sentence, Xing and Ma Beiqi's palms were already touching. Bang! Another loud sound rang out. An even stronger airflow spread out from the space between little Qixing and Ma Weijia. Under the impact of the airflow, Xiaochen and Cheng Minjing were instantly blown away and fell to the ground not far away. Fortunately, Cheng Minjing had already burned a hole in the inescapable net, and the two of them broke free from the control of the inescapable net. You're so despicable. To actually use such a vicious concealed weapon. Under the exchange of palms, Miss Xing's body trembled. Her skin felt numb, as if an electric current had passed through it. Her legs went soft and she fell to the ground. She discovered that there was a shiny barb in her palm. She was so angry that she gnashed her teeth. Pooh! Ma Beiqi spat out a mouthful of black blood. He was already seriously injured, and his skills were greatly reduced. Now that he had forcefully exchanged a palm with Miss Xing, not only did he not kill her, but he had also aggravated his internal injuries. However, his trick had still succeeded. Although Miss Xing was not seriously injured, the concealed weapon was smeared with a numbing poison. Once it entered her body, she would not be able to move for a short period of time. As long as he could control this strange nocturnal bandit, he would be able to find time to kill Xiaochen. Ma Beiqi did not care about Miss Xing on the ground. He forcefully used his remaining trace of demonic qi and directly chased in the direction that Xiaochen had escaped. At this time, Xiaochen was still running with difficulty. Beside him was a limping Cheng Minjing. After breaking free from the inescapable net, there were still a few barbs in Xiaochen's body. It was difficult to get them out in a short period of time, so he could not use sword kinesis flight. He could only stumble forward. However, no matter how hard Xiaochen tried, he could not run fast. After running for a short distance, Ma Beiki was about to catch up. Ha ha ha. Xiao Chen, don't struggle pointlessly. Just obediently give up. What's that? Ma Beiki enjoyed the feeling of beating a drowning dog and laughed arrogantly. His attention was originally focused on Xiao Chen. Unexpectedly, a black shadow suddenly appeared beside him, giving Ma Beiki a fright. Ma Beiki looked down and realized that the black shadow was a black mutt. His originally nervous mood immediately relaxed. He raised his leg indifferently and wanted to kick the dog away. However, he did not expect that the dog's speed was so fast. It went past his leg and directly bit down on his crotch. Ouch! Ma Beiki howled in pain and knelt down. He covered his bloody lower body and kept rolling on the ground. After the mutt bit down, it did not stop and chased after Xiao Chen's back. Wow, invincible dog, beautifully done. It is really worth it for me to raise you so well. Later, I will reward you with a can of high-grade dog food. Xiao Chen gave invincible dog a thumbs up and praised. He also saw the thrilling scene just now. If it was not for invincible dog's stroke of genius, perhaps he and Miss would really have to die here today. Stingy. Invincible dog made a great contribution this time. Even if you give him high-grade dog food for the rest of his life, it will not be a problem. Cheng Minjing snorted in disgust. While running away, she did not forget to pat Invincible Dog's head twice to show encouragement. Woof! Invincible Dog barked loudly. He ran while wagging his tail, looking very proud. At this time, little Chick Xing finally pulled out the barbs on her palm. The numbness in her body also disappeared. She was about to die from anger. No matter what, she had the strength of a Demon King level 10 great perfection. Yet she was defeated by such a low-grade hidden weapon. If Ma Beiki was not in a hurry to chase after Xiao Chen just now, she would have been killed. The more little Chick Xing thought about it, the angrier she got. She looked up and saw Ma Beiki rolling on the ground not far away. She immediately stood up and rushed over. She punched and kicked Ma Beiki to vent the anger in her heart. Puff! Ma Beiki already had serious internal injuries. In addition, his penis was bitten off by Invincible Dog. At this time, he was unable to resist little Chick Xing's storm-like punches and kicks. He was beaten until he vomited blood. He could only protect his head and face and passively take the beating. After beating for a while, little Chick Xing could only stop when she saw Ma Beiki's bruised appearance. She couldn't really kill this guy. Otherwise, she would not be able to explain to Elder Sun when she returned. Humph. I'm in a good mood today. I'll spare your dog life for now. After beating him up, little Chick Xing's anger was almost gone. She snorted coldly and kicked Ma Beiki again. Then, she disappeared into the darkness and chased in the direction where Xiao Chen escaped. Ma Beiki, who was beaten to the face, was extremely depressed. What the F***ck was going on? Not only did he not kill Xiao Chen, but a Demon King level 10 great perfection appeared out of nowhere to oppose him. Moreover, there was also a spiritual beast dog at the peak of Demon Master level 10. When did so many tough things appear in the secular world? Could it be that I went the wrong way and went to the inner martial arts world? In desperation, Ma Beiki could only accept his bad luck. He endured the pain on his body and crawled up with difficulty. He ran back to the Quishan sect overnight to recuperate. He planned to find trouble with Xiao Chen after some time. However, his injuries could be recovered, but Ma Beiki's manly spirit could no longer be restored. He didn't know where Invincible Dog threw the thing it bit off. He couldn't find it after searching for a long time, so he could only leave dejectedly. Xiao Chen, where are we going? Can we no longer sell Youtiao in the future? Cheng Minjing was already standing on the flying sword that Xiao Chen was riding at this time. She held Invincible Dog in her arms and asked with a solemn face. In fact, Cheng Minjing quite missed the days of selling Youtiao. Although she was always tired from waking up early to sleeping late every day, and she always had to worry that she would be seen through, she lived a very fulfilling life. Missy felt that her life seemed to be more stable than before, when she didn't have to worry about food and clothing. Now that she couldn't sell Youtiao, she was a little disappointed. She originally wanted to take some time to return to the Chung family to tell them that she was safe, but she never had the chance to go. She felt very upset. and she didn't know how her father and grandfather were doing recently. Let's go hide in Lawn City first. Ma Bakey is seriously injured, so he can't do anything to us for the time being. However, we can't let our guard down either. It'll be too dangerous if we stay in Songning City, Xiao Chun replied calmly. But he was thinking about something else. Xiao Chun was a little surprised by Miss Xing's help. Awakening Sect was obviously the backer of the Kuei Mountain Sect in the martial arts world. She should have joined forces with Ma Bakey to deal with him. In the end, not only did she not help, but she blocked the attack for him, and even injured the other party. What kind of inside story was hidden in this? But we don't even have a place to stay when we go to Lawn City. We only have tens of thousands of yuan left. How are we going to sustain ourselves? Cheng Minjing asked worriedly. Now that their only source of income had been cut off, would they have to rely on begging to survive from now on? Let's take it one step at a time. If it really doesn't work, I'll use the money to start a small business. Don't worry, Missy. As long as I'm here, I won't let you go hungry. Xiao Chun smiled bitterly and shook his head. When he was in dire straits, he couldn't even afford a bowl of noodles. But didn't he still make it through? There was nothing that couldn't be done, only the determination that wasn't brave enough. All right, that's the only way. Cheng Minjing nodded helplessly. It was already late at night when they arrived at Lawn City. Xiao Chun randomly found an express hotel to stay in. In order to save money, he only booked the cheapest standard room with 2 beds for 2 people. Cheng Minjing didn't object. She was already used to sleeping in the same room with Xiao Chun. If they were really separated, she wouldn't be used to it. The next morning, Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing both woke up and went to the hotel's restaurant for breakfast. Chapter 884. During the meal, the two noticed many parents checking into hotels with their children. From their conversation, they could tell that these people were obviously going to report to the nearby Lawn City University. Looking at the excited students, Cheng Minjing suddenly remembered that it was time for the start of university. If she hadn't met with so many accidents back then, she would definitely have gone to university too. But now she was running for her life, on the run everywhere. Not only did she live in fear every day, she also had to worry about how to earn money to live. It seemed that she would never have the chance to step into a university in this lifetime. Eldest Miss, do you want to experience university life too? Seeing Cheng Minjing's envious and melancholic expression, Xiao Chun guessed what was on her mind and felt a little guilty. If it wasn't for his momentary impulse, would the eldest miss be so miserable that she would have to run for her life with him? No matter what, he had to make it up to her. I'm just thinking about it. I can't even pay the tuition fees now, and I'm still on the run. Sigh. Cheng Minjing sighed, her tone full of disappointment. If I had a way to let you study at Lawn City University for free, would you go? Xiao Chun asked as he took out his phone. His hands didn't stop moving as he swiftly swapped in a new SIM card he bought from a roadside stall a few days ago. TSK, you make it sound nice. Do you think you're the one who opened the university? Do you think you can go just because you say so? Cheng Minjing rolled her eyes, but she was secretly looking forward to it. Could it be that Xiao Chun really had the ability? Xiao Chun smiled and didn't choose to bicker with Cheng Minjing. Instead, he dialed a number on his phone. Hello, who is this? After the call connected, a middle-aged man's voice came from the other end after a while. Deputy Director Xia, I'm Xiao Chun. I'm staying in Lawn City now, and I need your help with something. Xiao Chun originally wanted to call Ling Tian, but felt that he might be busy, so he called Xia Zhili instead. It's you. Why did you go to Lawn City again? Is there a problem? Xia Zhili was surprised. I did run into some trouble. Yesterday, my identity was exposed by Ma Wuxia. He brought a group of people to find me in the middle of the night, and then Xiao Chun briefly recounted what happened last night. I see. What do you plan to do next? What did you want me to help you with? After Xia Zhili heard this, he felt a headache coming on. Unfortunately, there was nothing he could do. Fortunately, Xiao Chun was injured and wouldn't appear in the near future. He should give Xiao Chun some help in other aspects. Oh, it's not a big deal. Cheng Minjing, and I want to study at Lancheng University. So I'd like to ask for your help in arranging the admission procedures here, Xiao Chen said lightly. No problem. I'll send someone to do it. Wait for my news. Xia Zhili readily agreed. Although he didn't know why Xiao Chen suddenly wanted to go to university, he didn't plan to get to the bottom of it. Xiao Chen must have his own reasons for doing so. Thank you, Deputy Bureau Chief Xia. Xiao Chen nodded. He knew that Xia Zhili would definitely be able to solve the problem, so he didn't say anything else. Why are you being so polite with me? It's nothing. Xia Zhili brushed over this matter. Then he suddenly thought of something and said, Oh right. Because your bank card is being monitored, your salary is still with me for the time being. If you need any money, just let me know. Okay, I understand. Xiao Chen chatted with Xia Zhili for a while longer before hanging up. He gave an okay gesture to Cheng Minjing. Ah, just a phone call? You've already settled the university procedures? Cheng Minjing asked doubtfully. Yeah, the Supernatural Investigation Bureau still has some power in the secular world. This kind of small matter can be settled in minutes. Xiao Chen waved his hand and said indifferently. Cheng Minjing still didn't believe it. She thought that Xiao Chen was bragging, so she didn't take it to heart and changed the topic. It wasn't until that afternoon that Xia Zhili personally sent the admission notice to the two of them, and specially gave Xiao Chen a large sum of money, that Cheng Minjing believed what Xiao Chen said was true. She was sincerely convinced by him. After receiving the admission notice, Xiao Chen and Cheng Minjing followed the photo and transformed themselves into two other people. Because the appearance in the photo wasn't too outstanding, it wouldn't attract the attention of others. The department that Xia Zhili arranged for them was inconspicuous, and the major that they studied couldn't be any more unpopular. This was also because Xia Zhili was afraid that they would be too ostentatious, so he deliberately made it more low-key. Department of Archaeology, Ancient Martial Arts Research Major? Xiao Chen looked at the major on the admission notice and wondered, what the hell is this major? I've never heard of it. Who would study such a minor major for no reason? This Xia Zhili isn't reliable at all. Don't be so calculative. Do you want to enter the arts department and take the opportunity to hook up with beautiful girls? Cheng Minjing pouted. She didn't care much about the major. It was already good enough to be able to attend university, but she didn't know how long she could stay there. If she was discovered by the Quishan sect, she would probably have to run for her life again. With you, my legitimate fiancé, by my side, how would I dare to touch other girls? Otherwise, if I get beaten up by a powerful cultivator like you, wouldn't I be asking for trouble? I won't do such a thing where the losses outweigh the gains. Xiao Chen smiled and shook his head. Humph, that's nice to hear. Didn't you flirt with Lu Shuangshuang in front of me before? Now you're serious. Although Cheng Minjing didn't sound very happy, she was very happy in her heart. It seemed that Xiao Chen still placed her in a very important position. How would I know that you were watching from upstairs? Xiao Chen touched his nose and muttered. Cheng Minjing glared at him and snatched the admission notice from his hand. Oh yeah, I have to change our names. It'll be easier to call each other in the future, so that we won't be noticed. Xiao Chen didn't object. After Cheng Minjing finished writing, he looked over and saw that his name was written Xiao Yi, and the lady's name was Cheng Yaoyao. Looking at the name change notice, Cheng Minjing nodded in satisfaction and handed it to Xiao Chen. Take it. Remember, if someone calls Xiao Yi in the future, don't be in a daze. It'll be troublesome if you accidentally expose yourself. Yes, Miss Cheng Yaoyao, Xiao Chen said helplessly. However, this admission notice was special. The school didn't have a record, and the name could be filled in casually. As long as the Supernatural Investigation Bureau contacted them, it would be fine. What should we do next? It's getting late. It looks like we can only report tomorrow. Cheng Minjing looked out the window. The sky was gradually darkening. Why don't we do what we love to do, eh? Xiao Chen was only halfway through his joke when he saw Cheng Minjing frowning and glaring at him with an unfriendly expression. He had no choice but to change his words. Let's go to the supermarket to buy some daily necessities. Otherwise, we'll be at a loss when we get to the dormitory. Humph. At least you said something reasonable. Cheng Minjing snorted and left the hotel with Xiao Chen. They first went to a small restaurant nearby to eat something for dinner. Then they went to a large supermarket next to the restaurant. Since the two of them fled to Lon City overnight, they basically didn't bring anything with them, other than buying some daily necessities. They also had to buy a few sets of clothes and 2 large suitcases. Xiao Chen was very casual. To him, it didn't matter what he wore, so he quickly chose. On the other hand, Cheng Minjing was different. She used to wear famous brands and used imported shampoo and shower gel. Therefore, she didn't buy anything in the supermarket at all. It took her a long time to choose from the shelves. After buying everything else, she even bought a few sets of underwear and panties. Only then did she pay the bill and return to the hotel in satisfaction. Early the next morning, Xiao Chen checked out of the room. He and Cheng Minjing first found a pet shop to keep invincible. Then, they carried a pile of luggage and walked to Lon City University to report. It was Cheng Minjing's first time entering a university. Everything she saw was new. After all, Lon City University was several times bigger than Songning-no. To high school. She couldn't see the end of it at a glance. The young lady who had just entered a university looked at the parents and students in 2s and 3s around her. She couldn't help but feel a little excited. Xiao Chen, on the other hand, led the way in front with a calm expression. He had stayed in Lancheng University for a period of time before, so he was very familiar with the distribution of the various office buildings. So he directly led Cheng Minjing in the direction of the new student registration center. Xiao Chen. Watching Xiao Chen walk forward, Cheng Minjing was a little puzzled. Why does this guy seem to have been here before? She was about to ask about the situation, but accidentally blurted out Xiao Chen's name. She hurriedly coughed twice to cover it up. Ahem. Xiao Yi, do you know the new student registration office? I feel like you're very familiar with this university. Oh, I came to Lon City University for a mission before, so I'm quite familiar with the environment. Xiao Chen said lightly. He didn't want to explain too much lest the young lady get jealous again. Cheng Minjing was stunned. Did you come here for a mission? Why didn't Xiao Chen mention this to me? Just as she was about to ask more questions, a gentle male voice came over. Beautiful junior, which faculty are you going to? Do you know the way? Why don't you let Senior Ice Cream take you there? Hearing this voice, although Cheng Minjing's expression didn't change, she was a little surprised and excited in her heart. She had also heard that there would be a lot of sophomore and junior year students who would take the opportunity to hook up with beautiful girls during the new student registration office. But her current appearance was very ordinary. Why did she encounter such a thing? Chapter 885. Is it because of her natural beauty? Even if she transforms into another face, it's difficult to conceal her inner elegance? Yes, that must be the case. It seems like the seniors of Lon City University have good taste. While Cheng Minjing was still immersed in her fantasy, another girl's voice responded to the senior. Thank you, senior. But I'm still waiting for a friend to leave with me. I won't trouble you. Cheng Minjing was stunned again. When she raised her head, she realized that a girl who was not inferior to her original appearance was standing not far away. Beside her stood a very handsome boy. The boy's skin was as fair as ice cream, and he was tall and handsome. One look and you could tell that he was a pretty boy. In an instant, Cheng Minjing's face burned. She almost made a big mistake. Fortunately, her appearance had been transformed. Even if she looked like a piece of red cloth, no one would be able to tell. Xuxia, there are too many students in this university. There's a long line just to use the restroom. Sister Souring almost couldn't hold it in just now. The senior, Ice Cream, wanted to continue, but he was pushed to the side by Tian Souring and almost fell to the ground. Xiao Chen was also stunned when he heard the voice. He couldn't help but feel surprised. He turned to look at the source of the voice and realized that it was Tian Souring and Su Chuxia. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? That's right, Su Chuxia and Tian Souring were also here to report to Lon City University. As soon as they entered, Tian Souring ran to find the restroom, while Su Chuxia, who waited in place, ran into Ice Cream, a senior who specialized in seducing new juniors. Ice Cream's name was Shuegao. He was the young master of Lan City's Shui family. Because of his fair appearance and refined manners, many girls nicknamed him Ice Cream. Despite Shuegao's sanctimonious appearance, he had actually harmed many new girls in secret. However, to the surprise of those who didn't know the truth, he had never been scolded because of this. The reason was also very simple. After Shuegao got bored of those girls, he would use all kinds of bitter reasons to break up with them. For example, there was a huge disparity in their family background, and their parents didn't agree to it. Or, it was not the girl's first time, and it would bring shame to her family and so on. This would make the girl feel guilty, and then she would take the opportunity to give the other party a considerable sum of money as compensation. Some of the inexperienced girls naturally didn't understand Shuegao's sinister intentions, and were easily convinced by his words. There were also some girls who came for the money. Since Shuegao was willing to pay, they didn't care about anything else. Of course, as the saying goes, if you often walk by the river, how could you not wet your shoes? Sometimes there were some girls who really liked Shuegao, so after they broke up, they refused to accept his money, and they didn't believe his lies. They insisted that Shuegao give them an explanation. Then, he would use the power of his family to find someone to settle the matter with the girl. Little girl, are you blind? You even dare to push Senior Ice Cream? Hurry up and apologize. Seeing that Shuegao was pushed, his subordinates hurriedly steadied him, then pointed at Tian sourly and scolded. You're the blind one. It was clearly this pretty boy blocking the way. Sister Source merely gave him a light touch, and he was sent flying to the side. Your body is too weak, yet you still have the nerve to blame others? Tian Source rolled his eyes as he spoke rudely. That subordinate wanted to continue scolding, but he was stopped by Shuegao. Turning his head, Shuegao smiled at Tian sourly and said, Hee, this junior is right. It was indeed my fault. I shouldn't have blocked your way. Senior Ice Cream apologizes to you. The reason why Shuegao was so tolerant was mainly because Su Chuxia and Tian Suruan were just too beautiful. He had been in Lancheng University for so many years, and other than the campus belle, Ling Qianyu, he had never seen a girl of such high quality. Originally, he wanted to make a move on Ling Qianyu, but her background was too powerful. Although the Shui family was prestigious in Lan City, they didn't dare to go against the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. As for some traditional techniques to pick up girls, such as sending flowers and treating them to meals, Ling Qianyu was completely immune to them. Shuegao tried for a long time, but to no avail. In the end, he could only choose to give up. Since you're so sincere, Big Sister sourly will forgive you. You can kneel and rest. Tian sourly waved her hand casually, then turned to Su Chuxia and said, Chuxia, have you found the registration counter for the metal material engineering major? Let's hurry up and settle the admission procedures, then go eat. Are you a pig? You just had breakfast, and you're hungry again? Su Chuxia glared at her and pointed not far away. There, we'll register over there. Let's move our luggage to the dormitory first, then find the cafeteria to eat. Okay. Let's hurry over. Tian sourly nodded excitedly, then ran over with Su Chuxia, leaving Shuegao standing there in a daze. He didn't know what to say. By the time he opened his mouth to ask them to stay, the two girls had already run far away. Although Xiao Chen was registering, his ears weren't idle. When he heard that the two girls were applying for the metal material engineering major, he couldn't help but be stunned. Although this major wasn't as unpopular as his major, it wasn't popular either. Moreover, most of the students were male. Didn't the girls usually apply for the literature or art majors? However, after thinking about it carefully, Xiao Chen understood. Su Chuxia must have applied for this major to inherit her father's career. As for Tian sourly, he was probably just a bystander, hanging around Su Chuxia's side. Because Xiao Chen looked different now. After completing the admission procedures, he didn't greet the two girls. Instead, he brought Cheng Minjing to the other side, and prepared to register at the archaeology department. Not long after, Su Chuxia and Tian sourly were also done. The two of them were looking left and right for the female dormitory. Shui Gao, who had been waiting at the back, saw them and immediately went up to them. He smiled innocently and said, "Two beauties, are you done with the admission procedures? I wonder if this senior has the honor to treat you to lunch?" "Huh. Chuxia, don't you think that person looks like Xiaochang?" Just as Su Chuxia was about to refuse, Tian Suruan suddenly tugged on her sleeve and pointed excitedly at the back of a boy. "Sourly, are you crazy because you miss Xiaochang? How could he appear in Lanqing University?" Su Chuxia replied. She looked in the direction Tian Sourly was pointing and saw Xiaochen's back. Tian Sourly shook Su Chuxia's arm and said, "He really looks like him. Look carefully." "Huh, he really does look like him. It shouldn't be. Is he here on a mission again? Why didn't he tell us beforehand?" Su Chuxia mumbled softly, "Let's go and take a look." Seeing that Su Chuxia agreed, Tian Sourly dragged her and chased after them. Hey, Sourly, what are you doing? Don't you see there's a girl beside him? Don't scare me." Su Chuxia was shocked and said helplessly. However, she wasn't as strong as Tian Sourly, so she could only be dragged along. "So what if that girl is Xiaochang's girlfriend? At most, we'll have a threesome. Sister Sourly doesn't have much time left. If we don't go crazy, we'll be done for," Tian Sourly said nonchalantly as she ran. Hearing Tian Sourly's words, Su Chuxia couldn't refute and could only follow her. At that moment Shui Gao, who was completely ignored by the two girls, had an extremely ugly expression on his face. It was as if he had been constipated for a few days. If it wasn't for the fact that they were in public, he would have exploded a long time ago. This was already the second time he was ignored by these two girls today. As the school hunk of Lanqing University, he used to be surrounded by girls wherever he went. When had he ever suffered such humiliation? "Big head, go and investigate these two girls and see where they come from," Shui Gao ordered his subordinate as he stared at Su Chuxia and Tian Sourly's backs. "Okay, young Master Shui, just wait for my good news." Shui Gao's subordinate, who was called Big Head, licked his lips and quickly ran to the new student registration counter. After a few words, he slapped a stack of money and bought Su Chuxia and Tian Sourly's information. The student council members in charge of registration were also helpless. They didn't dare to anger the great Shui Gao, so they could only obediently hand over the information. After all, they were just taking a photo for Big Head. It wasn't a dereliction of duty, right? Shui Gao couldn't help but feel a little proud as he flipped through the information of the two girls. From the information, Su Chuxia's family was very ordinary, while Tian Sourly's family was even more unknown. Neither of them had a strong background. Since that was the case, Shui Gao felt a lot more at ease. These two girls were probably new to the university and wanted to pretend to be innocent. As long as he took the initiative, he would be able to conquer them sooner or later. If he really couldn't do it, he would use force and take all of them. Since they didn't have any background, he wasn't afraid at all. "Xiaoyi, you were staring at those two beautiful girls just now. Were you thinking of unhealthy things? Tell me the truth." Cheng Menjing was a little unhappy as she walked with Xiaochun. This guy couldn't move at the sight of beautiful girls. With this kind of behavior, he would probably fall into the hands of women sooner or later. Slap. Before Xiaochun could answer, he felt someone pat his shoulder. He turned around and was surprised to see Tian Sourly standing behind him. Behind her was Su Chuxia, who was panting. He pretended to be confused and asked, "Students, who are you looking for?" "Ah." Tian Sourly saw that it was a stranger who turned around and was instantly very disappointed. She waved her hand in embarrassment and said, "I'm sorry. Sorry to disturb you. I mistook you for someone else." "Oh, it's fine. You two are so beautiful. What are your names? Which faculty are you from? They say that it takes 500 times in a previous life to exchange for a painless abortion in this life. Since we are so fated, why don't we have a meal together?" Xiaochun didn't plan to let them go so easily. He teased them with a smirk. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.